don't mind doing it this way, I'd like to kind of get started with your name and what you're hoping to get out of this chronicle, and I can either go first or last.
I can go first.
Go for it.
Hi, I'm Renee. She they pronouns. As far as what I'm hoping to get out of this chronicle is to play with some uh old faces and new, and for once be the player in a V5 campaign as opposed to a GM. I have been GMing a Sabbat focused V5 game with some friends called Keep Calm and Praise Kane. Um, where it has gone particularly gonzo. Ask me about Chekhov's dildo sometime. Um,
I will.
uh,
Yeah.
but I am looking forward for an opportunity to play, especially playing a clan or group of clans that I haven't really done a whole lot with, except for just starting this year. Um, Full disclosure, I have written for Onyx Path in the past, specifically for Vampire the Masquerade, as well as some Chronicles of Darkness properties. So, if there's something you want to know about the old lore, I can help with that. If there is a mechanics question that you have, I can say, here's what it says in the book. Jason may have a different answer because he's the ST and it's his game. But I can help out where need be for various things. I also have a PDF of the player's guide coming in on Monday.
Me too. All right. In that case, I'll rotate around. Jillian.
Hi, I'm Jillian. You can call me Jillian, Jill, Jilly. Just don't call me late for dinner. That was really corny, and that is what you can expect out of this game from me. I have just missed gaming so much. I don't do a lot of it anymore now that I've moved out to the sticks, but I'm really excited to be playing in a game where I don't have to story tell. And yeah, and I have look at all these friends, look at these friends, and a new friend that I have not met yet. So yes, this is basically I'm looking for a good story that I can be super dramatic in, and I want to I want to chase a lot of plot and do a lot of Scoobying, not, which is also good.
Yes.
Yeah, yes,
Yes.
yep.
The formal declension of Scooby.
The formal declension.
Uh-oh.
Right.
Scuba,
Um,
scuba, scuba,
Oh
scubamos.
God, no. Oh God, no.
I think that's
As
I breathe underwater.
Yeah.
Mistranslations already.
Already.
you know,
Oh, so
audio,
so much
audio,
cruel
video,
and
disco.
I was about to say, why is this game not called Cruel and Unusual Punishment?
Given these players, I'm not sure.
Yeah. Maybe it should be. Who knows?
Oh
It
god.
may be an episode title. I mean, I'm looking. I've already started naming some of the episodes. Yeah, I'm. One of the things I'm looking forward to is that almost everyone here has at least some interest in art and the use of art and getting to play with that. I mean, I call the thing Triptych, so I mean, I'm hoping to play with that some, at least the worst things. But I am interrupting because I want to pass it on to Sammy next, because then Anna can go next after that, because she's our host, and then I will round it out.
Okay, hi, I'm Sammy. I mostly go by that, although sometimes you'll see me as Spirit Chrysalis online. I pronoun-wise go by they, she, or they if you're feeling extra sparkly. And what I am looking forward to getting out of this chronicle. I don't get to do as much tabletop as I like. I don't get to do as much gaming as I like, in part because I am still sort of mostly here. And additionally, uh, I am putting together a character in a different way, sort of, than I stereotypically do, including incorporating certain milder challenges that rhyme with my own real life. And I'm curious to see how the exploration of that will tell me more about the character, the story that we're telling, and possibly even a little bit about myself. I also really like the idea of art being a major component of it. And as folks will find out later, I am planning on working with a character who's expressly an artist. So that will be interesting.
That is cool. Hi, I am Anna. I use she, her pronouns. Um, the title of the chronicle makes me think of religion, not art, but that's me. uh, So I have never successfully played Vampire. I have unsuccessfully attempted to play Vampire several times, primarily in One World by Night, which comes with, yes, that face you just made, Sammy, is the reason I think that some of those attempts were not as successful as they could be. I am a
One World by
werewolf
Night is
player.
fine. I
I,
am on a recording and it is great.
it
All
is
different
awesome.
all different organizations are
I am
fantastic in their
I'm a
own way.
werewolf player primarily. That is my LARP bread and butter. All Garou, all the time. Uh, like
Okay, can you see the goalpost hooray face that Jillian just made?
yes, old world Garou, none of this new world nonsense. And in LARP and in tabletop, a mage player, primarily, generally in games that Jason runs, because uh, Jason runs games I enjoy greatly. And I had this thought of, hey, I would really like to stream a tabletop game because I stream a lot of video games and more things, more better. And so Jason and I schemed a little bit. So, what I'm mostly trying to get out of this chronicle, other than like, hey, let's stream this, it sounds like fun, and also new people I've not met before, is like to try to appreciate Vampire, which a lot of my friends really like, and I know I'm missing seeing what it is that they like about it. So, my hope is to do that and to sort of try to find the sort of fun I have in role playing games in Vampire, which I've not yet been able to do. I know next to nothing about Vampire in general, and everything I know about this edition I learned in the past, like, I don't know, 2 weeks of trying to spot read a very bad big book. So, I am assuming I will have lots of entirely newbie questions. Sorry in advance. Not really sorry very much. So yeah, that's me.
Hey, my name is Jason. He, him pronouns. I have been storytelling and game mastering since the 80s. The World of Darkness is one of my favorite settings in which to play, and these are my favorite people. So I'm going to be able to combine the two things. I'm also really excited to get to do things on Twitch. There's a lot of uh, interesting things that the platform offers, and I love an audience. So I'm happy to start like experiment with what you can do with a Twitch audience and what you can do online. I hope to put on I hope to present a good game, make something wonderful with my friends, and show show off a little bit. There's no reason why this room is filled with peacocks. You'll see them during the course of things. Um, so yeah, thank you guys. Um, for the people who are watching this, if you're watching this recording, it means that we managed to get through session 0, and we are going to be playing this game during the months of April, May, and June 2023. The schedule will be posted once on Anna's channel, I guess. Um, but the next thing we're going to do is something called Lines and Veils. And this is a safety tool for those people who are new to tabletop role-playing games. Vampire the Masquerade can be an intense, dark experience. And one of the ways that we keep each other safe during that is by establishing lines and veils. Something that's behind a line is something that doesn't enter the game space at all. We just don't acknowledge it, and it's not something that's part of our story. Something that's under a veil, well, we can reference it, or we can use it occasionally, but generally speaking, we're not going to give it any attention. We can allude to it, but it's just going to pass by. It's something we say and move on from. At this point, we're going to drop the curtain on this, and we'll be back with you in a little while. If you want to, we'll have a link to the lines and veils in the doobly doo. So take a pause. All right. That was our safety lines and nails discussion, and hopefully you'll be able to see the results of that. Okay, so let's talk about characters. Yep, we've had a couple of weeks to sort of kick it over, and I'm ready to hear what people are interested in playing. Who wants to go first? And if there are no volunteers, I'll pick somebody at random.
I can go if you like, since I have things moderately fleshed out.
Sure, go ahead. Semi, what do you want to play?
Where would you like me to start?
Uh, what do you
That
know
sounds
for
wrong.
sure?
What? Say that again.
What do you know for sure?
What do I know for sure? Okay.
Yeah.
I have a name,
Yep.
astonishingly. Let's see if I get this correct on a recording the first time. It's something akin to either Envis or Envis. Either is fine. It is spelled, for our fine transcriber, Enfys. It is Welsh. You're welcome.
Do that again.
Um,
E
Enf as in Frank, Y as in yellow, S as in Susan.
Okay.
And oddly enough, it sounds a little bit like it is spelled. It's not quite as intense a Welsh name
Yeah.
as it could be.
Enfys. And what does the fox say?
Ding 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 ding. Oh boy, and that's just little
Envis
enough.
has left the building.
Oh,
Someone's gonna
no.
make that joke. Someone's going to make that joke.
That's delightful.
It was very nearly me. I'm glad it was you.
Let me pull up.
I'm happy to jump on that grenade for you, Jason.
Thank you.
I am pulling up the longer form concept because my sheet has a fairly small area for that. Okay, yes. Concept I have is writer and unintentional psychographer / concurrent bibliomancer.
Mhm.
That will be explained by my derangement in a little bit.
I don't know
I
what
am
those
loving
words mean in English.
What was that, Anna?
I don't know what those words mean in English.
So, a psychographer is somebody who essentially is using automatic or impromptu or similar writing to glean things about the universe. And
That's awesome.
thank you. And concurrent bibliomancer is using their own writing to try to figure that stuff out. So it's kind of like two parts of the same dynamic.
Okay.
They are a Malkavian. I am not sure of Jen, but we'll figure that out systemically. And I have other elements as well, but I want to give other people a chance if you decide to cycle through. Don't want to go through
Yeah.
the whole thing now.
I think yeah, I think that's pretty good.
Cool.
Cool. I want to hear more about this, but I want to pass the torch a little bit. Renee, what are you thinking of?
So right now, I'm actually looking at a Hecata or Hecata. Who we're gonna have this conversation about how the heck it's actually pronounced. Several times
So
over.
storyteller call. There are regional and dialectal differences from people in different places saying it different ways. I'm never going to look at you and say, no, you're saying it wrong and mean it. Different people are going to say it different ways, and you're going to have to, like, somebody will mispronounce it, and you'll have to deal with how you feel about it. But, we know the one you mean, or at least we don't know.
Right.
Some of us do. Go ahead and tell us.
So Kathy Milliner is a member of the Milliner family, which has been prominent in Boston since the 1950s. This is actually part of vampire canon. When Jason initially pitched the idea of setting the chronicle in Boston, I'm like, I need to do something with this, and that was something that he mentioned that he wanted to actually include in some of the stuff he wanted for the chronicle. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this. Right now, I'm kind of envisioning her as a little bit of a spoiled brat, but also with her family having as much influence as they do in Boston, kind of wanting an idea of what the heck that some of these other folks in the city are actually doing. So she's a little bit of a diplomat, a little bit of a other people handler. I'm not entirely sure how that's going to actually flesh out, because I also want to make sure that I'm making something that's going to be useful to everybody else in the group and potentially filling in some gaps. So she could either be very much kind of the social butterfly or the mook that beats everything down. I honestly don't know yet. I can find a justification for whatever the group actually ends up needing, and I can have fun with it.
Fair enough. Renee, and I actually don't know this about you. Do you like tabletop fights? Like, do you find them fun, like, inherently?
Depends on the actual fight itself. Having run various tabletop combat, specifically in the V5 system, and doing it in the more loose style as opposed to the roll, this is your initiative, go in this order.
Right.
V5 actually handles it in a way that is a little bit more freeform and makes a little bit more sense. And specifically is, calling it more of a conversation. It's not necessarily something that I like absolutely love, but at the same time, it's it can in fact be, part of a game. And as a dear friend of mine once said, violence is a conversation.
Mhm.
So if there's going to be a fight, let's make it mean something and let's make it be fun.
No, I'm looking forward to that. You know,
Am I,
I too like the 3 rounds and out system
I was
for
gonna say, am I
Mhm.
right remembering that there's that system where you don't
yeah.
have to make a fight last 5 sessions?
Yep, I'm looking forward to that. That is a. I think that's going to be good both for streaming purposes and for player sanity.
Mm-hmm.
All
Absolutely.
right, cool,
Um, it's like I can do it. I can absolutely do it. As long as we do it in a way that doesn't get in the way of the role play, I'm happy.
cool. So, Jillian, where are you?
Um, I'm actually pretty far in.
Okay.
Um, so I'm thinking of playing a House Karna Tremere podcaster.
Mm, dig it. Okay, tell me more.
um, so this character was embraced because of the whole like Tremere revolution after the Chantry got sacked in 2008. They needed people with bigger, newer ideas, bigger ideas. And Karna's like, I'm going to embrace the people you never thought. Enter my character, Natalie. Natalie is a seeker of the unknown. She's she likes to look into the mysteries. She grew up on tales of Bigfoot and Paul Bunyan and his ox and Ogopogo, the Loch Ness Monster, Centralia, Pennsylvania. You name it, she's probably a font of useless information about it. Um, she started a podcast, um, and I have a working title. It's called Unveiling Boston,
Mm,
and in in older times it would be one of those like 11 to 2 fillers on your NPR station. But now with the glory of technology, she can put it out every Tuesday, and it doesn't matter when she records it. So basically, she, you know, delves into the hidden history of Boston and then encourages all of her listeners to go do the same, which makes vampire courts really, really nervous. And she's like, why would you be nervous if you hide your shit and do what the traditions say? You should have nothing to worry about, right? And people are like,
It's a smoke test. I'm sending people to check your defenses and how you cover things up, obviously, right?
yeah, people don't like people. Nobody likes when you do that.
No.
Nobody likes that.
No.
So
Okay,
yes,
but hauntings can seriously hurt some people. Be careful with that shit.
but and then we'll get into like
yeah.
Oh
hauntings
yeah,
are
we'll
great.
have some
Yeah,
very fun
they're-
Hauntings
arguments
are
about that.
great.
All
But
right.
yeah,
I'm
that's
not making this gesture for reasons. Everything's fine.
Which
cool.
gesture
All
are you
right.
not making there?
I'm
Yeah.
here because you broke something. Got it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I broke it.
It was either her or me. It was either her or me.
Cool. All right, Anna, that leaves you.
Great.
Where are you at?
I don't have a name because that happens last.
No.
So, as you might recall, I have no idea what I'm doing and I have no idea what I want to do. However, I have been trying to find like kind of a clan to do some studious-y, academic-y, investigation-y things.
Mhm.
And mostly because I kind of want to use a clan as the spine to hang the rest of the play on. And I think I've settled on Salubre
Ooh,
because
okay.
I like that. It also falls into my thought of like trying to be the best human a vampire can be, really. And all the hard stuff that comes with it. I kind of contemplated Banu Hakim, Jason, as you mentioned it, but there's just
Yeah.
there's not enough there yet published for me to be able to make an educated decision. Not in terms of like there's not enough, so I don't have enough cool things, but more I don't know what they're going to publish that is going to suddenly make it all non-tenable anymore. So I sort of don't want to go with that. And while Slubri also doesn't have very much published, they don't have like the plethora of potential rituals that can bring nonsense in. I don't want to deal with. So
That makes sense.
I think
I
I
have a
sort of
question.
ended up there. Yeah.
I have a question that might actually be bring some interesting play here. Um, Given the lore around the Tremere and the Salubri, um, I wonder how that's going to impact the relationship between Natalie and your
So
I
character.
don't know the
so
lore between Tremere and
so
Salubri, so
here
there's
is
that.
the thing. Here's the thing. Um, one of the reasons why I said like be like so one of the things about one of the reasons about asking people to bring like young kindred is that a lot of the people who knew that stuff are gone. This is mystery that can be uncovered, but it's not a thing that like the people who are left, it's I put it in the same category as like, in 1066 the English fought the French to the death.
There's a whole tapestry about it.
Yeah, exactly. But like in 2023, English people and French people have different things to fight about than that. So, especially somebody whose house Karna, whether that actually has an impact on how they feel about someone of the Salubri clan, that's it's one of those things that can be developed. We want that, but I'm not going to say that that is common knowledge anymore. Not in the same way that like everybody's going to go, hey, do you know about this and that?
Can you give me like the bullet point summary
Oh,
of what you're
sure.
talking about?
Sure. The bullet point summary is that in the lore, the Tremere started off as a bunch of Order of Hermes wizards. You may remember.
No. I know how the Tremere came about, but I don't know where the Salubri called into play.
So the Tremere made themselves into vampires, and the way they made themselves, I mean, they used Jamisi blood to make themselves into vampires, but to become a true clan with a third generation founder, they devoured the founder of the Salubri, and then systematically, well, it's behind a line. They systematically went after and destroyed as many of the Salubri as they could find.
Got it. As opposed to like the Cappadocians that kind of ate themselves.
Yes, that was very much a sudden and inevitable betrayal, but this was more of a hunt.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
So, but here we are in the 21st century, and the Tremere are no longer the same monolithic entity that they once were, and the Salubri have managed to come back from the brink. There are not like just 7 of them like there were in like the 90s.
I thought in the 90s there were only 7 of that like specific wise healer group that was a specific group.
This is true. There are probably the same like the Salubri and the Ravnos and a lot of the things in the companion book. There aren't a lot of them around, but there are enough that it's not like like it's not quite a unicorn situation.
Like the Sinishi are in that book too, and they're a dime a dozen if you go back to Europe.
Yes, but again, those are that is then, and this is now. But yes, so I guess the answer to the question is, it doesn't have to be a thing. If we want to make it a thing, it can probably be a thing later.
I think the more sort of interesting thing that I thought of when Jillian mentioned Natalie's stuff is that my thought was so the book says like, oh yes, Salubri don't just willy-nilly do this thing, they really like are very, very super picky, blah blah blah. So my thought was that I would make a character that was an academic, a researcher, probably with a focus on something like folklore or occult or ancient history and archaeology, and this was useful to somebody in an interesting sort of way. And if we, kind of add into that the requirement that they have some sort of tragic and imminent destruction that an embrace could prevent, would kind of explain that whole thing. But I feel like we're going to potentially end up being very differently minded researchers of the same nonsense, um, potentially, which I think could be a lot of fun and cool. Uh, if that brings in also like ancient clan nonsense at some point, that could also be entertaining for like extra giggles as opposed to extra conflict, if that makes sense as well. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, uh, basically, after reading the description of the Bruja in V5, where kind of all the academic got uh, taken out and replaced with revolutionary, I had to find a different place for that sort of thing. And I think that's where I'm ending up, and I know that that's a lot vaguer than everybody else's everything, but I tend to try to do mechanics which then flesh out the story, and I don't know enough about the mechanics to do the mechanics, so I am having a little bit of a problem having a more like defined character. Um, but I'm hoping that once we do the mechanics, I will have a lot more knowledge about it and stuff.
Cool. All right. That works. Okay. Um, in that case, I'm gonna say, I'm gonna ask a couple. I'm gonna ask at least like just one more leading question before we go into like putting down dots. And that is, to each of you, what do you know about your sires?
Mm.
I will start with, I'll start with Sammy this time.
Excuse me. Briefly distracted.
It's my husband. I'm sorry.
Bless you, John.
It's a thing that happens. Bye. Um. Oh. A good bit, I suppose, or imagine. That's certainly Envis's impression. I know. Totally out of character. I know.
Out of character is fine.
Yeah. But yes, that's definitely part of their reaction is a fair bit, I imagine. I know their name. It is Xavier Jacob Bloom, which most people spell Bloom, but is actually Blum. But it depends. He uses either. um, excuse me. Also Malkavian. That's not a shock. That would be weird if it wasn't, although it could have been adoptive, I suppose. And not in the same sect as Envis, which is exciting. And there's some story to that, which we can get to later. But yeah, they get on well. In fact, and again, I'll loop back to this, but they are. I'm not sure how this is pronounced. Maula.
Maula.
Maula. Their sire is still their Maula, so they know a reasonable amount.
Neat. Jillian.
I think Natalie's on good terms with her sire. I think that this was definitely a planned embrace. That before, while it took a while for Natalie to, first she was a ghoul that she, excuse me, Natalie's embrace. It was planned, and they are still on good terms. I think that her sire is a little more traditional as House. I mean, it's still House Karna, so they're still like, yeah, whatever. But he's still a little more traditional, and I think he does get on. He gets on Natalie's case about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, cool. But that's what I don't have a name yet, but I have the dynamic.
That's what I'm more interested in. It's like are you are you still in contact? Are you close? Are you distant? Are you now rivals? How are things going?
No, I think they're not close, but they're not distant. It is just a protective, like, a knock every once in a while. Are the kids okay? Mm-hmm. Do you seem okay? Usually no.
Okay, Anna. How do you think that your character relates to their vampire sire now?
I'm not sure. I don't particularly feel like there's any reason to have animosity. I don't particularly know. So because the books imply that the Salubri are rare-ish, like I don't know
Yep.
whether that means
They
that
they, they,
they
they
ought
still
to
are.
be
They're still
either
rare-ish.
far away or like dead or something,
Sure.
or
I mean,
whether they
I mean,
don't
they can
have
totally
to
be out of the
be.
picture. That is a viable option. I just want, like, in
I
fact,
don't know if
a lot of
that's like a requirement to keep
it,
them
it is
rare or
it
not.
isn't a requirement. It's one of those things of like, if you don't have like, it's the question of like, do you want like role play with a sire figure, or do you just want to like say, they wandered off like Kane from Kung Fu and decide to go do something else, so there's not like too many of you in the same place, or did they die? Did they get like, did they get captured or something, like,
Uh,
do you yeah,
I was going to take some sort of adversary as a flaw because that tends to be a good way to get flaw points in a way that I don't have to do very much about, but will
yeah.
probably
And
bring bring
it makes your
bad
flaw everybody
things.
else's problem.
Yes. um, but does not create like something terribly debilitating to my
Yeah, sure.
roleplay every
Yep.
second of the way.
Yep.
So maybe there is somebody who, I don't know, killed them and now wants to also destroy all of their progeny, who
Could be.
shouldn't be
Could
plentiful because salubri. So
Yeah.
like maybe I don't know.
Could be
Um,
exciting.
yeah,
Right.
so I'm thinking maybe having them out of the picture in a permanent sort of way is not a bad idea.
Sounds good. And Renee, how are you with who like who is your sire?
Brian Milliner was embraced during the 1980s. He is one of those cocaine fueled businessmen
Oh gosh, yeah,
who
that's great.
Kathy frequently has to say, okay, Broomer to, because
Oh,
he's having a hard
Brian.
time adapting. Um, he's still technically a neonate, depending on who you ask, and as far as potency of blood and all that. But he's definitely having a hard time with the idea of you can't just take the Donald Trump approach with women anymore. Um,
Right.
Kathy and her sire are mostly on the same page for a lot of things, but they definitely argue a lot. Um, Again, okay boomer comes out of her mouth a lot when it comes to her sire, to the point where maybe some people outside of the family think his nickname is actually Boomer. Um,
Nice.
Oh, like the football player, absolutely.
Yeah.
exactly.
He's loud, right?
Yes, actually, he's very loud. Um,
I love
but
this.
yeah, so um, definitely kind of that second to third generation of Kennedy's kind of vibe.
Yeah, yeah. I'm
Um,
getting some Kennedy, some Hilton, some Kardashian. I'm
eh,
getting the mix. Yeah.
yeah, considering it's very much talked about in the lore how the Milliners and the Kennedys were kind of rivals in a couple of spaces.
Sure. Yeah.
And
Were the Milliners one of the Giovanni things that ended up in
yes,
Hecate?
Yep.
Which
Yep.
flavor
yes.
of Giovanni were they?
The Milliners are actually a subfamily of the Giovanni.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Does that mean they
I can't.
actually do all the necrophilia?
Uh, they care more about the money.
Got it.
Yeah.
I cannot wait to find out if your sire knows my enemy. That will be exciting.
I'm here for it.
All right. Time for some action-filled dot filling.
Hey. Dot filling is where it's at.
Absolutely. Okay.
Not
So,
really, but
you all should have a character sheet of some variety. All right. So, we're going to start with attributes. There are 9 of them, as is traditional for a White Wolf game. There are slightly different ones than some of you might be used to from older versions of the game or from different offshoots. And we don't do the hierarchy of primary, secondary, tertiary, physical, mental, social. You can just assign as you wish with the following limitations. Take one thing at 4, one thing at 1, 3 things in 3, and the rest are 2s. So 1 at 4, 3 at 3, 4 at 2, 1 at 1.
what is the thing I need the least of, Jason?
Uh,
that
Well,
I need the least of.
I mean, traditionally, you're a salubri, which means probably you could ditch strength and dex. I wouldn't want to go too low on stamina because you've got fortitude in clan. Um,
Right. Is does fortitude add to stamina things or strength
sure does.
things? Okay.
Yeah.
Does
Would it be
dex control mostly like ranged weapons, or also other things? Like what are some
Um,
dex rolls one would make?
Dex rolls might be things for athletics, so running, I mean like running, dodging, escaping things, which you might be
Mm.
interested in. It's good for guns, although you can also use guns with your wits.
Hmm.
If you want to, like, if you're using that, you can use that for targeting. Dex is good for fine manipulation if you're doing things like crafts. You know, but it's one of those things of, it's good for like fine motor skills. If you're not that interested, oh yeah, driving. Dex is often good with driving.
would it be
Mm.
useful for people if I happen to know probably how my attributes are laid out to know what it is in case people, I don't mind one way or the other, but like to play the like, oh, we're complimenting each other in XYZ way. I'm not
I,
going to tell you what to do
I
with
mean,
these little
we'll
words.
go. I mean, we'll go around and talk about it if we want to. Just,
Oh,
I
okay,
mean,
sure.
I kind of want to know what your 4 and your 1 are. Those are interesting to me because that way we know what,
Sure. I
like
was
the
mostly.
what.
Oh, go on.
No, it is interesting to know what your strength and your character defining weakness is, and so
I was offering that slightly early in the event that people were on the fence about any stats and wanted to say, oh, I want to do something similar versus I want to do something different. That was all.
Mm.
But I can wait if you like.
Uh, Jason, surprising to no one that has ever played with me ever in any game, my 4 is an int. My 1 is going to go into dex.
okay,
I
cool.
think. I think
That
dex
seems
over
reasonable.
strength. I'm a little bit waffling, but not like a lot of waffling.
Mhm.
Can these be raised with XP?
Sure can.
At what cost?
To raise a attribute, it's 5 points times the new dot you're getting. So
Oh,
going from
God.
1 to 2 is 10.
Mm-hmm. So if
Yeah,
I'm
I thought about
really
this too.
out of things, I might out of things to buy. I might make that dex a 2, maybe.
I'm going intelligence at 1 and wits at 4. I will tell
Nice.
you this is going to be a bit of a role play stretch for me, because I am not that dumb in real life.
Remember that, like, one is just a character defining flaw. It's not like you don't have to play it. You can decide
Is
how.
butter a carb?
What's that?
Mm.
What's that?
Is
What?
butter a carb?
Yeah. Int 1 wits 4 makes me think of Katniss Everdeen in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is tuna fish or chicken? Wait.
Depends. Are you Catholic?
I thought we weren't talking about Catholics.
Are you
not a
currently in
ritual.
the sea?
Mm.
I went wits 4.
I mean, it's the chicken of the sea.
It's the dolphin of the sea too.
Oh boy. Golden
Whoa.
Retriever Hakata.
I went wits 4, composure 1.
Oh, okay.
Because y'all know me, I love to fly off the handle.
Oh boy. Well, since
Mm.
we've got that, I will give you that I am Resolve 4,
Ooh.
Nice.
Strength 1.
So, composure and resolve are 2 that I have never seen before.
Yep.
What are they exactly? Other than
So
I think they add up to willpower.
resolve is both is so the way that stamina is your defense against physical stuff,
Mm.
resolve and composure are your defenses against mental and social stuff respectively. Resolve is kind of like somewhere between like mental fortitude and executive function. It is the ability to get shit done and sort of keep at it. And composure is keeping your shit together. It is basically your ability to uh keep a grip, maintain a grip, and handle yourself under stress, in an interpersonal kind of way. So they're basically your social defense stats, which is why the two of them added together give you your willpower total.
Mm-hmm.
There will
Okay.
be no grip here.
Yep.
Be no grip.
Hmm.
Well, I
I
mean,
am
we can
looking
fix that.
forward.
Just take a little sandpaper.
Oh no, that's God Lord. I'm
Mm.
gonna be one of the more normal people here, and that's fantastic. I am looking forward to Julian's character and mine having not a great grip. Like I'm not at 1, but I can promise you I'm not higher than a 2. Like that's not happening.
Mm.
Awesome. I like the way this is shaped out. We have a very thinky, very talky party, which is going to be, it's going to be an interesting coterie.
Yeah. I also figure the intelligence one may also cover up for the fact that Renee in real life knows very little about Boston, and thus,
No,
yeah.
legit. I mean, I mean, the thing is, it's the so as I may have mentioned, like I mentioned this elsewhere, but I'll say it here. The Giovanni have largely stayed in 2 locations in New England. One is on the Cape, which is where the Milliner compound is. It's near that part of Massachusetts. And the other part is that they've managed to make a landing in Providence, Rhode Island, which is about an hour away from Boston. And they sort of moved in after all the weirdo elders left. Providence was full of weirdo elders, like the ones you get like Mercy Brown and the Griswold, Connecticut vampire, like all the like colonial era vampire stories. They found themselves in
They have
Providence.
so many different
Yep.
vampire
They-
graves.
Yep,
Vampire,
they sort of punted
quote-unquote,
themselves out
graves
that
there.
way. But during the events of the 21st century, with the Second Inquisition, the Beckoning, Providence was left kind of unattended, and the Giovanni or the Hecata just kind of moved in, and so now they've got that as their kind of they're sort of like their landing point. So it's okay to not know that much about Boston proper. You may not have visited very much, especially if you're like if you spend a lot of time as a ghoul in Providence.
My friends who live in Providence have spent their lives into the 30s having been to Boston once, if that, because who wants to drive for a half an hour? We don't do that here. So, that's totally an attitude if you're from there.
Bridge and tunnel syndrome is also a thing in the San
Yes.
Francisco Bay Area, so I feel you.
Yeah.
But I will have a concordance available for people with cool people, places, and things to reference. If nothing else, it's a good list of like, okay, this is Helen Iverson. She's the Prince of Boston.
Right.
Yeah.
Famous people
Also,
we should know.
for those people who are watching and hey, are you using Swan Song, one of the Vampire the Masquerade computer games? I'm using the book that came with it as guidance, but I'm not going to use the plot events of the game because I haven't played it. If you think there's something cool about it, let us know.
I have no idea what you just said, but I will.
Just
believe it.
there are a number of Vampire the Masquerade computer-based games, and one of them is Swan Song,
okay.
which is an adventure game that's set in Boston.
Oh, okay.
Which is why there's randomly like lore sheets for the Boston Camarilla and the Hartford Chantry. The Hartford Chantry is actually in New Haven in this game because I want to put it near Yale.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. Because I don't know of anything that's interesting in Hartford. Sorry.
Insurance. There's nothing but insurance
Yeah.
there.
Sorry for Hartford folks if you're out there listening.
No, Anna's right. It's just insurance and the occasional jazz festival.
My parents
Right.
used to live in West Hartford, so there is insurance, and slightly west of it, a lot of religious Jews. But not.
I have
much
family
else.
in Windsor Locks, which is
Yeah.
like right there.
Windsor Locks, that's where the airport is.
Yeah.
It's also where
Yes.
Near is all the time. And for those people
I
who
like
recognize that,
it.
no, you don't.
Sorry.
Anyway,
Okay, moving on. The next part, skills. Again, this is for those of you who may remember the older versions, they had like broken down into talents, skills, knowledges. This time they just call it skills, and there are 3 basic builds to think about. We've got the Jack of all trades, which basically gives you the most spread of dots. There's balanced, which is a kind of standard build, and then there's specialist, which is when you want to start with a 4 in something. Decide it's the whether you feel like Jack of all trades, balanced, or specialist is the one you'd like to go with. Let me know, and I'll tell you like your numbers. Or I can just drop it in the chat. Probably
I
easier
have a
to drop it in the
question.
chat. Ask it.
When I was looking at feeding styles,
Oh, okay, we'll
they
get to that
said,
later. but
they
sure.
said
Yep.
things like, "Get a specialty in larceny" or something.
Yep, that is a thing you get for free when you pick your predator style. It is
Thank you.
those are packages. They're like like hey, this is like a kit of like, you have been a vampire for a while. How is it that you've survived? Okay, this is what you've trained yourself to do.
So
So you have those specialties and
so if
such.
you have so if you have a predator style that says get a dot in blah, and you
Yep.
already have a dot in blah, do you now have two dots in blah?
Generally speaking, yes. Although it generally will say you get a specialty in blah, not a dot in blah. Unless you mean a discipline, in which case, yes, you get an extra dot in blah. That's how you get more discipline dots in this.
Thank you. I
Yep.
wasn't sure. Sometimes it's like you get blah means you now have access to buy blah
No, no, no.
with your
In
precious,
this,
precious XP.
no, no, no. In this case, you actually get blah, blah.
Mm.
It gets.
In case
Right.
people are curious, Envious is balanced.
Do I want to be a specialist? Mm.
I found it limiting, but that was because of the build that I have.
Well, it is intended to be limiting, but it's
Yeah,
basically
sure.
for the people who want to. I really want to start like
Good at that
with
one
8
thing.
dots in my pool for this thing, possibly 9.
Oh
It's
yeah,
like,
no judgment one way or the other. It's
Yeah.
just a different.
Jason, going with my description of what I had said about like the academic, sort of librarian-y, researchy person,
right.
um, what skills are actually the skills for it? Is it academics or is like investigation or occult or something else?
Right. So
More?
none of those are bad choices.
Okay.
But based on what you've
Insight.
described, you will probably be rolling into an academics and into that investigation most. Right?
Okay.
Like those are the things that you will be like, it's the academics, it's the investigation to find the thing, academics to understand it. There's a lot of that going on. So consider those as the things you want to like load up on.
Okay. And what are the dot distributions for the three styles?
Uh, Renee has dropped it into the chat, but I can read it aloud.
Nope.
Yeah.
If it's in the chat, that's fine. I just
Yep.
in
Nope,
no
it's cool.
way see that when it lights up without somebody
It's okay.
mentioning it.
It is in the Zoom chat.
Yes.
I think I'm going to be going with Jack of all trades for mine, which is a departure for what I normally do because I like going specialist because I usually like being hyper competent at things, but I'm definitely
Same.
diving into some new stuff for this one. So I'm going to go Jack of all trades.
Like
Absolutely.
hyper
If you-
competence.
Jack of all trades
I'd
mean
say.
Jack of all trades means you never have to roll without like you never have to have the I don't have any dots in that problem.
Mm.
I went balanced.
Mhm.
She's balanced.
I think we gonna be friends.
So the
I think
balanced
so too.
over specialist, the balance just has 2 more at 2 and 4 more at 1, right?
Yep. It basically means that like it's with a specialist, when you're doing the thing you're good at, you're amazing. When you're not doing that thing, you're kind of in trouble.
And
Jason,
they
would
all
you-
add up to like 20, right? I think.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Would you like to know, similarly to how we did attributes, if people have like here are my high stats, what those are in
Yep.
case?
I would
wanna-
like to do that, but
Can I? Oh,
Yep.
go ahead.
No, go like yes, I would like to know that.
I didn't know, like, some people play that with, like, not shtick protection, but you get the idea, like, what's
Mhm.
complementary, who can help each other with what.
Mhm.
I happen to have it and can tell people if people want. The 3 I am balanced, and the 3 threes that I have are in awareness, insight, and persuasion with a specialty in writing.
Nice.
And then there's a bunch of other stuff that is unsurprising for the group. Like I have some occult, I have some academics, I have some investigation. Like I'm definitely still in that wheelhouse because I
Right.
assume that's some of the work we'll do. But a lot of what Envis does is intuitive, which is interesting.
Jason, no more
Yep.
alertness, just awareness to cover both supernatural and mundane knowing of things happening nearby.
Yeah. Yep. And it's generally speaking wits that you want to roll with that, as both because there's no perception any longer either.
Oh, shit! I
Yeah.
just noticed that.
Yep.
I
So
totally missed that as no perception.
I went Jack of all trades. My 3 went into persuasion.
Nice.
I have 2 and a whole bunch of stuff, including punching somebody out if they give any of y'all lip.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, but I did not put any points in survival. This will be fun.
Yeah, it's okay. This is just a thing that works with. It's just a thing people might want to know. Survival in an urban campaign also has a certain tactical element. There's a lot of there's a certain amount of dumpster diving and fighting in alleyways, and basically there's a certain amount of understanding the urban environment that comes with survival. So even if you're not going into the barrens or past 495.
Could someone remind us which 4 skills have an automatic specialty? Because I think something
Sure.
indicated 4.
That's going to be
Performance.
academics, crafts, performance, and
Science.
yep, science.
Uh,
And you do start with a specialty. Yep. Yes,
so academics does an automatic specialty.
it does.
Okay, at 4
Science.
or in general.
In
Always,
general,
okay.
specialties are no longer tied to the number of dots you have in a thing.
Oh.
You get a specialty just because it's like you can focus your thing, and if your thing comes up, you get an extra die.
Oh, okay.
I didn't take any dots in any of those. This is weird for me.
Really? Cool.
Yeah.
You get to be a person who asks all the questions, and everybody else can answer them. That's great.
Okay. So
There can be a liberation in that too. Like there's
Yeah.
4, 5.
no brain cells, only questions
Uh,
and social.
I am the orange cat of the milliners.
6.
Oh,
Oh God.
that's so great.
I need another place to stick 1 dot. What's a good
I don't
place?
know. Not that we need to get into it, but I know what most of my specialties are in that regard. I don't know my academics one, but I will look at it.
When this game says craft, do they mean jewelry or do they mean like witchcraft?
The former, like
Okay.
jewelry, like sculpture, like
Just
knitting.
checking.
No.
I frequently take crafts knitting if I want to knit on screen.
I had a
That might
player
actually
who took
end up somewhere.
crafts, specialty arts, and
I make a crafts 5 macaroni.
yes,
You know?
she was
That's amazing.
she was a gold award winning Girl Scout, and yes, in fact, best werewolf ever. Child of Gaia.
Oh, sweet baby.
Yes.
You can't fight crime with a macaroni duck. Yes, I can.
If I may end up finding an excuse at some point to have like crafts 1 knitting, just so it could be like in front of the screen at some point. Because
I
why
will
not?
almost certainly have my knitting in front of me when I'm not filling in a sheet.
I may have to get like a notepad and a pen and
how
start
I keep
writing random
focused.
things down.
Out of character.
I mean, who thought that wasn't going to happen? But keyboard. It's very. Where do I put it? I'll figure it out.
Where do I put my hands?
Jason, I think I'm ending up with a 3 in academics, investigation, and insight.
Nice.
I have absolutely no idea what to specialize my academics in, and am open to help. Please help.
All right. Well, let's see here. We've got some people who we've got like, what is your academic specialty? What is Natalie's rather?
Esoteric history.
Okay. So maybe not that. Let's see here.
Maybe
So
the weird stuff.
so what kind of academics do you think would be fun to have story about? If you want to do that, right? Like, it's if you're going to be like researching stuff, what is it the kind of thing that you'd like to find?
Is like history too vague? Do I need to specify
No,
the kind of history?
I mean, history is fine. I mean, it's not like, it's not philosophy, it's not, if you could narrow it down to like, a slightly smaller subgenre, but history is probably okay.
A time or a place.
Yeah.
I specified esoteric history because she can't tell you jack about like any sort of like war in Syria or like
right.
immigration policies in China, but she can tell you all about all those vampire graves in New England.
Yeah, and
Right, you're taking like cryptid history, basically. Not exactly that, but like that level of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have to think about my academics too, because it's not the same as yours, and I descriptively know how, but I don't, like in a longer form, but I don't have the essence of what the specialty difference is yet, because they're not as much like, here are these vampire graves, here are these cryptids, here is the, here are these sightings of...
How about European history?
Sure. That'll do for this game, right?
Because
like,
I'm thinking like I want to know who put which troops where in 1066.
Okay.
Like, that kind of history.
Cool. All right. So, all right, that works for me. And remember that in addition to the ones from academics, crafts, performance, and science, you each get one specialty to put somewhere. In some, one specialty to give yourself one die in one circumstance. So make sure you pick one.
My one die specialty
Yeah.
is stealth, breaking and entering.
Oh, nice.
Because sometimes to get them secrets, you gotta get into some shady places.
True. And you put that as a stealth specialty rather than larceny?
Because that's the larceny specialty that you get
for
for
very
being blood bank thing.
Very wise.
I mean, there's a difference between like I'm good at getting into places and stealth and not getting caught and getting into places. So I can completely understand why you put it in one or the other. But like, just remember that larceny is a thing that exists.
Yeah, I do have a dot in it. Okay, yeah, you know what? Let's go larceny.
What's a good... I don't know where to put my other one.
I'm still trying to figure out where I'm going to put my free specialty.
I apologize for this amateur move, but I'll be right back.
No problem.
Jason, the free specialty is in something we already put a dot in, correct?
Yes.
You
must have at least one dot in something to specialize in it because you need to try.
Is like medicine diagnosis a reasonable specialty? I only have one dot in medicine, but like
absolutely. If you want to be good at like figuring out what's wrong with people, you know what your problem is.
The thing that's useful and cool to me about Salubri is that thing that they do. So,
I mean, I didn't want to say you picked the one with the healing power.
I mean, Jason, but you've met me, right?
I have. I have known you for at least I don't know how many years now. And if there's a button that says heal on it, it will be on your panel next to the button that says harm if there's room for it, but only if there's room.
I mean, just because I always play Verbena or Theurge does not mean that... no, it totally does. I never play clerics. Does that help?
That's because you don't like religion.
I mean, I don't like religion. I mean, that's not true. That's totally a false statement. I don't like role-playing religion. But also, no, I don't like having to memorize new spells every morning. I play sorceress. Thank you very much.
Fair enough.
I feel like running in heels is slightly too specific of an athletic specialty.
Not at all.
No, that's especially if you put it like backwards, like that.
Actually, that sounds great. Like it is completely.
You want to
I
run
can
better.
tell
You
when
put
it
on
applies
your
and when it
heels.
doesn't. That is the guide for a specialty. Can I tell when it's useful and when it's not?
Fair enough. And actually, considering the predator type that I plan on selecting, which I know we'll be covering in a little bit here, I think it's going to be really useful. So, athletics specialty, running in heels it is.
Fantastic. I love it.
Medicine diagnosis.
Okay.
Or are these the ones we took special?
Yeah, these are the ones that are not attached to like particular skill. It's your one bonus specialty for
Oh yeah. No, I think mine is persuasion writing.
I also have performance podcasting.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Like and subscribe.
That makes sense.
Cool. All right, we're on a roll, folks. Okay, next, cool powers, disciplines. Okay, so the way this goes is you have 3 clan disciplines. You get to pick 2 of them, put 1 dot in one and 2 dots in another, and pick the powers that you want for those slots. In Vampire 5th Edition, every discipline gives you 5 slots to put powers in, but there are multiples of different types. There's a couple of different 1-dot powers, a couple of different 2-dot powers. So you can pick one 1-dot power for your 1-dot power, and you can pick either 1 and a 2 or 2 1s for your 2-dot powers if you want.
Amalgamation powers? How? Question mark?
Sure. So in order to do an amalgam, you must have a power of that rank already filled when you take it. So give me an example. Are you looking at Valeran?
Yeah, Endobea.
Okay. Well, in order to have so basically what you want is to have Auspex and Fortitude be your two disciplines, because then
Yeah.
Obeah can be, it's the, your Fortitude 1 power, you'll pick what your Fortitude 1 power is. Then you, yeah, I think it's, I'm trying to do them both at once. In order to take level 2 Fortitude Valoran, you must have at least one Auspex 1 power already. In order to take level 2 Auspex, you have to have at least one Fortitude power. So figure out which one of those you want to start with.
Hang on one moment. I just need to scroll to page 24 of this book where disciplines are. So, okay, so like Obeah is level 2, so I'm assuming it's Auspex level 2, Fortitude 1, right?
Yep.
And Valoran is Fortitude 2, Auspex 1, so that means I need to have both Auspex and Fortitude at 2?
If you want to have both of those powers, yes, but you can't at this stage because you're only picking one level 2 power.
Okay.
What you want to do is look in the core book at the Auspex and Fortitude powers that are level 1 and pick one of those to be with and figure out which one you're going to start with.
Right. Disciplines are somewhere in this book. Here we go.
They sure are. Start at 245.
Yep. Let's see. I just have to get. I know that I want heightened senses. I just don't know anything about Fortitude nonsense.
Gotcha. Well, if you know you want heightened senses, then you could say heightened senses Obeah and then something in Fortitude, or you could say heightened senses and then something in Fortitude. Yeah, it's the
I am trying to find F in the alphabet. I'm sorry.
It comes after D.
Thank you. The other discipline, the one I don't want at all right now. Okay. There it is, Fortitude. So I can either be strong body or strong mind, it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Which one is more useful? Probably strong mind. Okay, so let's see.
So if you went with heightened senses and unswayable mind, you could pick either of the Obeah 2-dot powers and then possibly pick the other one up with your predator type if you're going with a predator type that gives you Auspex or Fortitude.
So how do I write this down? Okay, so I put down Auspex 1, I pick heightened senses. I got that far.
Yep.
I write down Fortitude 1, right?
Yep.
And grab its unswayable mind. Got that.
Yep.
So now I basically now I put a second dot into either one and pick up either Obeah or Valoran, right?
Yep, that's basically how it goes.
Okay. That means I need to go and figure out which one is which. Valoran is the one where you
Valoran is the one that allows you to heal vampires.
Right. And Obeah is the one that fixes people's mental or emotional turmoil.
Mm-hmm. Valoran works really well on works on vampires. Obeah works on anybody. But it depends on. But go ahead.
I was gonna say, let me go with Valoran, and then when we get to feeding style, I reserve the right to switch them the heck around.
Sure, sounds good.
Okay, so that means I pick up Fortitude 2, and then
just call it Valoran.
Valoran. Yeah, no. So this sheet that you sent me has drop downs once you write in and don't misspell the name of the discipline.
Cool.
Which is handy.
Yep. Thanks to Nerdbird. Maybe we'll put that in the doobie loop. All right. So.
Okay.
Who else has picked their discipline? Yep.
I actually have a question for you regarding a couple of different discipline levels, specifically Auspex 1, Sense the Unseen, and Oblivion Sight, which is Oblivion option for Oblivion 1.
Yep.
Unseen Senses, is that something that you would allow to see ghosts, or is that specifically directly attuned to Oblivion Sight?
Nope. You could absolutely use Sense the Unseen to see ghosts or perceive ghosts. Oblivion Sight is, it also does that, but not everybody has access to Oblivion. So
Yeah, it's just a question of making sure that I pick something that is actually going to be useful to me.
On a related
I
note,
mean,
would
literally in the description it says, can anything from another vampire use objects to somebody use aspects to spy on the character to a ghost in the middle of the room.
All right. In that case, I'll be going with Ashes to Ashes for my Oblivion power.
Oh, cool.
would it be useful for people if they knew roughly what I am thinking? Again, in that nice overlappy way.
I think we should all, yeah.
Okay, so some of this comes from other sources, but I due to Predator style and also expenditures of XP, I think I have Auspex, Sense the Unseen. And in fact, I think my desire may end up literally being learn heightened senses, basically. Like, just I should figure out how to do the normal thing.
We'll get to desire in a second.
Sure.
I actually like it when desires are like related to a particular. We'll get to those, but that
Sure. It was the only thing I could think of, and the longer one was more long term than I had good words for. But
thing is, desires are actually a thing we can pick up like once we get our relationship chart together. But the answer is like basically desires should be related to a particular like something that is actionable soon, like particular thing. But like
I thought of that as actionable soon, but that's fair. Yeah. We'll talk about it later. So yes, Sense the Unseen, and I did get Premonition. That's like my big thing insofar as I have it. I have Dominate, Cloud Memory specifically.
Okay.
Use that for Anarch or no, Masquerade breaches are a thing, and they're bad. Absolutely. So we can fix that up.
That's what you should have right now. We haven't gotten to Predator type just yet.
Yes, and some other stuff. TM.
Yep. Cool. All right. And Jillian.
Well, of course, I had to take the blood sorcery.
Of course.
I had to take the blood sorcery.
Sure. Cool.
And I also took, obviously, because, why else do you play a Tremere? I took a Taste for Blood and Extinguished Vitae. I also have Sense the Unseen. Yeah.
So, I would like to point out, we have 4 characters,
many.
All of whom have Auspex, and I think all of them.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it does make some sense given the kind of style of game we talked about writing. Of course, we want to know the supernatural Woojaboo.
No, absolutely. I'm just saying, it's like it is the 4 aces kind of chronicle. Just a.
This is why I'm sharing my stuff early.
Yeah. No, cool. Let's see here. So we've got Taste for Blood and Extinguish Vitae. Okay, cool.
What does Taste for Blood do?
It basically it is. Do you want to tell?
Yeah, sure. Let's see. Let me scroll up.
Most of the rest of them are like named in a way I could figure it out, but
yeah, you can find it in your hymnal on 273.
Yes. By tasting a drop of blood, the user can discern certain basic traits of the one to whom it belongs. The user dabs the blood on their tongue and makes a resolve blood sorcery roll. With a win, the user can determine the resonance and intensity of the blood if it's human. They can also identify whether the blood belongs to a mortal, ghoul, vampire, or other supernatural creature. Tasting Vitae also determines the relative blood potency and thus the likely generation band for the vampire. A critical win also reveals whether the subject has ever committed diablerie and the generation within one of the vampire. If the user knows of the supernatural creature in question, they can identify the specific supernatural creature on a critical win after tasting the blood.
Renee, which did you take Oblivion to 2 or Auspex to 2?
I actually took Fortitude to 2.
Fortitude to 2. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Neat. So it's Oblivion 1 and Fortitude 2. Somebody who does not have Auspex, that works.
Yeah, okay. No.
My apologies. Am I wrong about that?
Hold on.
At this stage, you should have.
Hold on one second. I lost track of where I was at. Yeah. I do not have Sense the Unseen.
Oh.
Not yet.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
But yeah, basically, I can take a hit. It's harder to hurt me, and I can destroy a corpse.
Nice. All right. Also, for those of you
just in case any of y'all fuck up. I'm here because you broke something.
I don't make corpses.
I didn't make that one.
I wasn't even here today.
Also, for those of you who are playing wizards, feel free to take a ritual and a ceremony for each rank you've got. So if you've got Blood Sorcery 2, take a level 1 and level 2 ritual. If you've got Oblivion 1, take a level 1 ceremony.
Gracias.
Sweet.
While people are looking at that, can I bounce back to a specialty question real fast?
Go ahead.
So, you heard a little bit about my expounding on where I see the very cool overlap between Jilly and my stuffs, and I'm trying to think of a specialty that still fits that wheelhouse that is not that, obviously, because they're not so much in the, like, weird New England TM, and they're much more about what are the grand connections. Like, they are the ultimate view of the cork board string tinfoil hat vibe. Like, they may not do it that way, but that's a lot of what they're doing, and it's pretty localized.
Could you consider that Insight Conspiracies?
Maybe, although it's not. It's
Or
less
are you-
conspiracies and more what are the supernatural various things doing in this city and how is it mucking with it?
Oh, okay.
Kind of like, what's the big vibe? What's going on here? It's more chronicle oriented.
Fair. And you're looking at this as like thing is, and you want this as an academic specialty?
Yeah, like one of the things I had considered, although this is a little bit unusual, is how to put this. I'm trying to figure the right word. Syncretic localized. And it's specifically that it's syncretic or top level. Like, that's the major difference. It's not, I don't have encyclopedic knowledge of here's these 12 things. It's more, how does this all fit together? But it's not awareness because that's a slightly different thing.
No, for sure. But I'm thinking thing is with academics, it's basically this is stuff that is written down, and generally speaking, like people.
Is it always written or is it sometimes talked about? Is oral tradition okay?
It has to fall under
Not
academics.
it very much is. It very much is a book learning kind of skill.
Okay.
It is very much a being able to assimilate knowledge that is recorded. I mean, like I would be okay with like if you said it was like, recordings or other things that are not print media, but definitely it is a understanding.
So how about Boston current events Boston current events esoterica, which is somewhat different. It's localized, but it's more broad, and that's like newspapers and stuff.
Give me just a moment. I'm gonna go with. Give me a minute to think about it because I've almost got it because it's like I think I know what you're looking for, and I think what we're talking about here is,
I mean, I can eventually also take something interesting like literature, but that's not quite their focus right now.
No, I gotcha. It's like the thing that you're really interested in, the thing you want to be like researching is,
Specialty generation, dear readers.
No, gotcha.
No, this is how it works.
Thinking like,
I just keep looking forward to putting like Jilly's specialty stuff and my specialty stuff together for great justice.
So, if I change a word in my specialty and give Sammy the esoterica specialization, I could go with cryptid history and be just as fine.
And also, you don't have to do that if you
honestly.
Want
I think that solves a bunch. Or like at the very least, yeah. Cryptid history, and because I was basically the thing that comes to mind is crypto history, which is a different sort of thing. And one of you takes the other one. That is so fine.
Is that works for you?
Done.
Okay.
Excellent.
Right.
And still combining for great justice will be amazing.
Yep.
I think I need to establish another veil, which is explaining crypto to Kathy Sire.
No! Oh God!
Nobody wants that.
That's a veil.
I mean, everybody.
Okay.
That can happen over there.
So Brian Milliner is only tangentially involved in cryptocurrency. He does not bring it up in game.
More along the lines of the thing I'm specifically putting behind a veil is Kathy having to explain cryptocurrency.
I mean, like you can just not
He
do
Googled
it.
it. He Googled it.
I mean, you can just not,
It's like Explain cryptocurrency to me. No.
Hey, Jason. So if
Hey, Renee.
or
Augie coin.
if if
I'm going to. No.
You can't kill me before the game starts.
Then it won't start.
Yeah.
Jason, if like oral history is not under academics, what is it under?
I think that oral history is under academics. It's just a matter of like it has to be like the record thereof. If you're talking about like interviewing people, that's more like investigation. Like if you're talking like basically you're looking like at records, right? Like we're talking about things that you can research and study, right?
Um, I suppose. Unless
Um,
you are yourself doing. Okay, so if you are going into a community and you are listening to stories, that would be investigation.
or etiquette,
Or
or
okay.
That's
yeah,
good to know
investigation or
because
etiquette, either way.
Okay.
and obviously this is not to disagree with it in any way, shape, or form. There is an entire subdivision of social psych and archaeology, respectively, that's what they do. That's all that they do. But the records of it
Ethnography.
as trends, yeah. The records of it as trends are readable. But
Yeah.
that's the difference between you going and doing it yourself
Yeah,
and
and I
you reading the
think-
records of the people who are going and doing it.
Yeah. I think that so then the academics would be the I wrote it down and then you read about it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's the academics is very much the researchy skill.
Okay.
The interviewee skill is etiquette or persuasion or investigation, any number of stuff that like is actually like person to person. But like I have this thing that I can now reference and understand. That's academics.
Got it. Okay.
Cool.
So
Do-
next what?
Next, what is predator style? How you get through the night, or basically how you feed yourself, like because you are successful vampires, at least as far as like you've made it this far so far. How is it that you manage to feed yourself night after night, or the like? There's a list of those.
Yeah, I can't decide. Help. I like several of them, and I also dislike all of the ones that I like. Hence my problem.
No, I can understand a lot of the one. I mean, if as a person who wants to play a good person who has to try and do bad things to survive, a lot of these can be messy.
I mean, I believe that's the point of this game.
It is, but like it's the I can still acknowledge that and
Yeah.
feel sympathy for it, but
In no surprise to anyone, I do know what mine is, or Envy's is.
Yeah, people should like talk about theirs, and then
Sure.
I would like some assistance settling
Can
on
do.
one.
Okay. So Semi, what is emphasis predator type?
So, oh, good, I'm not muted. So giving it in context, I think, was really helpful for me to figure out what predator style actually made sense for them. And I'm going for one that's atypical for clan in some respects, but not necessarily atypical for some of my playstyle and my build, which is Siren.
Mhm.
And Envy's is a Siren style predator with cloud memory in particular. And when I mentioned in previous chats for people possibly watching this that they had was a manic pixie dream girl or ascribed to one and is now laughing about it, this is not the only way that they feed, but this is expressly about how they feed. Like I didn't know if I was going to say this, and I don't know if they'll ever say this in this way, but if they use cloud memory to obscure superficial feeding, they're the kind of person who would turn to them and be like, you're going to forget this happened. Maybe you saw or felt something in the moments before this one, that pivot point, but then it never blossomed. And it wasn't with me. It's never with me. And leaving. And that's very their vibe because it fits in this notion of, am I an instrument or am I a person? Am I, what do I do with what I do? And the idea of like the manic pixie dream girl is an archetype. It's not a real person. So if you see something in somebody else that vibes with that, yeah, you're seeing something real, but the buttressing around it is what's usually holding up that trope. And what happens if the thing inside the buttressing is not the same thing anymore? So that's my vibe.
Very neat. I'm gonna take us back from that really insightful description to ask. So, what you get? What, are you taking fortitude or presence?
Presence.
Nice,
For sure.
for sure. And who is your enemy?
Oh, okay. Um, Short version of this because it's
Yep.
they are my enemy, my Maula, and some interesting backstory is attached. Before all this happened, my character had a lovely significant other. They were charming, they were friendly, they were artistic, they really liked their writing, they were very, very cool. And I didn't get to see them all the time, and they never really stayed overnight, which kind of sucked, but like, it's fine. Um, but they were getting on well, and they started making noises to the effect of like, maybe we could, make this more serious. And they're like, oh, what's this going to be about? And they're not sure. It's not they going to propose. Like, I don't know what's happening. Um, Behind the scenes, some stuff is happening they don't know about. And then something terrible happens, and we'll get into that later. Uh, and they are in the right or wrong place at the right or wrong time with an acquaintance of their SOs who they've met, named Xavier, who seems quite nice. And Xavier keeps them from dying, which is helpful. And it's around a little bit after this time that Nathan or Nathaniel throws, probably not in public, but has a very quiet hissy fit, and possibly Xavier has a hissy fit because that was his child. And he was going to embrace them. And now I'm broken. And not broken, like that's the worst that it gets, but that's basically what happened. Is they got embraced, accounting stuff happened. Xavier was like, yeah, if you want to like get back, like so long as you're doing the right stuff and you keep an eye on yourself, like, and I keep an eye on you, then sure. They were probably had their accounting through the Camarilla, which is interesting. And they tried it again, but Nathan was like, he made it weird. He kind of, he kept talking about how like he felt so bad.
What clan is Nathan?
Nathan is a Toreador. Nathan is a Toreador neonate, and the reason that he was taking a little while to do this is that he was getting permission. And he basically had gotten about 90% of the way. They had vetted my character and decided they were fine, and then this happened. And they probably could have kept dating Nathan if Nathan had not kept up with this, like, low-key, every once in a while vibe of, like, it's such a shame that this is how this had to shake out because of what's happened to you.
Oh.
And they eventually went, you know what? And that's why I say overt ableism is like, but this is not what I'm talking about. We're talking tip of the iceberg in the whole. And I don't mind mentioning that on stream. But yes, that level is fine. And they eventually were like, you know what? This is no.
But
no.
You were his toy and you got taken away.
Yeah, like, and they did, like, they tried to have talks about that, so it wasn't awful. They weren't like an inhumane monster outside of the whole vampire thing. But they eventually were like, this is not no. And like, even if Xavier and Nathan have worked out their stuff mostly, there's still this thing. So they are now a 1-point enemy. Stereotypically, that's a different flaw, but for this particular situation, it sounded like Jason was cool with that. And it also makes for an interesting transition when they eventually went, you know what? A lot of the Camarilla is like this, and this whole idea of like owning things and what they want to do with their people, and that feels weird and I don't like it. So they left, and as far as they know, Xavier is mostly okay with that. But there's still this dude. And he is in fact Nathaniel Whittier, which is one of the names, not of the Boston Brahmin, but it's another one of the names of the people who were in the artistic pursuits and the high-ranking, like, magnate style pursuits, and could easily have known Kennedy style characters. So there's a possibility that Nathaniel might know Renee's character's family.
Oh,
or at least there's
it's entirely possible.
The Milliners are kind of like, again, it's like being a Kennedy or a Hilton or a Kardashian. They don't necessarily know the vampire stuff, but they certainly know, the name. It is a name that you can conjure with. Of course, like, it is probably like, it's the, it doesn't take, you don't need to know a lot about vampire society to understand what the name Milliner means, but you need a little bit, especially since, the Giovanni decided to, expand their reach by having characters whose last names weren't Giovanni. And
right. And like similarly, Whittier is not the name of a tea stop, so it's not the same degree of like, this is clearly a Boston name. But yeah,
it's only a bus stop.
But yeah, it's enough that if people knew the history or some of the interplay of it, they could be like, yeah, that's a vampire from a well considered family and an artist.
This strain is Whittier. All right. So
now, is he one of the Boston Whittier? No.
Essentially, yes.
Considering there is also a Whittier, California, so
Yes. Oh, that makes sense.
It is.
But
Yeah,
yes.
I mean, it's a relatively, well, it's not like super common name. It does occur in other places. So it's like, oh, is he one of the Boston Whittiers? Whatever. Yeah.
Right.
Um.
So Renee, how does Kathy get along?
Honestly, I'm a little torn.
All right.
Um. Because there's a few different options, especially given the bane of this particular clan involves very painful feeding.
Mm.
So there's a few ways that I can handle this. I can take Alley Cat to cover it up. I could go the bagger route specifically to try to not inflict pain. Um, or I could potentially go the farmer route, which would not be any issue with lines or veils, but would definitely be more the, all I need to do to find you, Louis, is follow the corpses of rats kind of thing. For those of us who like the old school Interview with the Vampire movie.
Two of those are ones that I'm considering as well for, reasons.
Mm-hmm. That said, part of me is also leaning towards Alley Cat, specifically to kind of play into the clan bane a little bit more. Based on a lot of things that I'm seeing for Kathy is that she's not a nice person. She's gonna look at a lot of these little babies and be like, oh you sweet summer child. Especially given the ceremony that I took, which is really the only one I could take, which was Gift of False Life, which basically means I can make zombies.
Oh God.
So I think I may actually lean into the Alley Cat.
Cool.
They're like pets, except less furry and less concerning about when they go poof.
I get to beat up douchebags outside clubs. It's nice.
It's true. So are you thinking? Are you thinking potence, celerity, potence, maybe?
I'm not entirely sure which one yet.
Okay.
I'll have to kind of think about it because the build could go either way.
Gotcha. And just for those who are watching, Alley Cat gives some powerful stuff, but it also means that you start at humanity 6.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like I said, not very nice.
Nope. Got it. But
I'm kind of enjoying having the Hakata with that humanity and the Salubri in the same party. That's also cool.
It is really going to be interesting.
Interesting.
Actually, I did not. There's a question I did not ask Jillian. Is Natalie Anarch or Camarilla?
Natalie's an Anarch.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So it's
Natalie is absolutely an Anarch.
So it is 2 Anarchs and 1 Hekata and whatever, as far as the Salubri goes, you could be neutral or Anarch or Camarilla or whatever you choose. But I think
I can
Anarch or neutral is probably the thing the way I would go with the character you described.
All of the writings seem to be like, and no prince in their right mind wants you in their city. Kind of nonsense. So yeah,
the story of the Camarilla is an interesting one in this, and I hope to explore some of that here. Basically, my way of kind of reading the changes in V5 is that after being kind of hit hard with the Second Inquisition and the Beckoning and a lot of the things that made things kind of unstable, the Camarilla as an organization went, okay, when was the last time we faced anything like this? The Dark Ages, right. Going back to that. We're going to try and become more insular and more protective. And then the La Sombra are like, got it. We know what to do here. Let us in. And so that's kind of how the Camarilla changed there. So they're a lot. There's a lot more walled city going on in Boston proper than there used to be. Especially since in Boston the Boston Camarilla is an organization. Basically, are the heirs to an organization called the Kindred of Liberty, who basically spent their times basically trying to fight against the princedom of a guy named Quentin King, who you may have read in other books. I'll talk more about that if we actually get into that part of Camarilla politics, but for now, know that there is some fruitful material to be explored in the city itself.
Okay, so when basically like a bunch of Cam cities fell to the Anarchs, the Cam sort of clammed up and
They
extra
didn't switch,
towered the ivory tower rather than
pretty much. They didn't switch
chilling?
fall to the
Okay.
anarchs as they fell to the hunters and to uh weird Gehenna related
So I
stuff.
was looking at like Berlin and like all of that, and it
Yeah.
seemed like those were falling to anarchs or like
Sure.
LA, that sort of area. But who
Sir, I mean,
knows?
it is certainly a thing that is happening, but that's in Berlin, and I'm not really paying much attention
Okay.
to that. Gotcha.
Okay.
Cool. But no, there are definitely more cities that are anarch controlled, and the Camarella's grip on control itself is consolidating but waning. There's a lot more places for anarchs to be anarchs.
Okay. Gotcha.
Okay. Um. So, uh.
I think I made my decision as far as the discipline I get from Alley Cat.
Okay.
I think I'm going to go with celerity, if only
Okay.
because I took a look at my options for potence, and I don't think doing ag to mortals is going to be particularly useful to this particular game.
But don't you want to leap tall buildings in a single bound?
No.
Okay.
Cat's grace means I can walk in heels and not break my ankles.
That is
true.
absolutely true, especially
But
since
do
you have
you
a
get
specialty.
to control time?
No, absolutely not.
I know I'm not the right person to say this, but no time magic.
See, this is the thing. Anna knows, like, Anna has very little knowledge of vampire stuff, but the stuff she does know because it comes from Obi-Wan is all the annoying stuff. She knows temporis, but she doesn't know, like,
Sorry.
it's okay. It's totally okay. All right. So, Jillian, what do you think your style is?
I think she's an Osirian.
I was wondering
Really?
if you were going to
Yep.
go there.
Yep.
So you
That makes sense.
So you actually have a cult, like
There-
a
there-
space cult?
It's a fan. Well, it starts out as a fan base, but you know how some fans get a little rabid.
No, we're here for the cult stuff.
They get a
I love this. Every time you told me something new about your character, I'm just like, oh wow, that interleaves in such an interesting way now.
sorry.
No, it is fine. So what did Natalie's fans call themselves?
So they call themselves the Seekers of Connection. They're looking for all the little they also call themselves the string theory because they're looking for the red string on their crazy board of life.
I have so many.
I get my
questions.
connection in Jamaica.
So
I have
yeah.
so many questions, and one of them is, can I hang out with you? Because like it's just clearly.
Have
You're gonna get to.
have-
It's
I
gonna-
know. I
Have
know.
you
I'm just.
played a game called Scarlet Hollow?
No.
I know about it, but I haven't played it
It's a visual novel. I highly recommend it. But there's a character in there who's like a YouTuber on cryptids, and has a following, and there's a little red string everywhere, and it is also it's an
God.
amazing game. It's technically horror. It's the sort
I'm
of horror
sorry
I
to
can tolerate.
anybody if I ripped off your intellectual property. I'm sorry about that.
I was about to Seekers of Connection. What kind of corporate retreat bullshit is this?
They connect
falls.
on ham radio. I don't know.
I mean they really do. It's like the seekers of the big connection because there's something that connects it all. You know, there's something that connects the vampire graves and the lake monster in a lake around Boston because I only know New York. I'm sorry.
Do we
You
have
know,
a
the-
lake somewhere?
There are more rivers than there are lakes.
So Cthulhu.
It's the Charles River
It's
monster.
the Charles River monster,
Well,
or
I-
the
I
and
mean,
even
you
the
know,
Bay.
you know,
The Bay works
well,
too.
you know, I mean, there's a river called the Mystic. I mean, what do you want to do?
that there's something that connects it all, and we need to find it.
You know, if this were a different sort of game, it would literally be the like, can I eventually invest points in your cult? Because like, really, like they are.
We need
They'll
to
be
find
fine with
it,
me.
The Rainbow Connection.
they're great. I mean,
anyway.
they're great. They're great. They're a little misguided. They have way too much time on their hands, and you know, it's like it's like crazy. It's like Crazy Bob who will call into the radio show every day. Hey, Natalie, it's Bob.
Oh, no.
Okay, so this is what I saw, and she loves it. She eats it up. She's like, all right, tell me all about it.
Literally, with a spoon sometimes.
Exactly. And then if she's going on like say a ghost hunt, and want it's like I will, we're going to we're going to investigate the Boston spooky place. We're going to have an overnight lock-in, and she managed, she might, disappear around a corner and give somebody a supernatural experience of their own.
I see. All right. So, are you using it to get presents or another dot of blood
Oh
sorcery?
no, that's where she got her second dot of blood sorcery.
That's where you have your second dot.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So we're going. Okay.
So
So we got.
we're
Only
yeah,
a little
we're,
death. Got it.
only a little. So we're Auspex 2 blood sorcery 1 with the Osirian
Yep.
giving me
And
blood
that'll give you
sorcery
plus.
2.
Fantastic. That's fine.
We also
All right.
have an enemy because I
Yes.
have to pick an enemy.
Yeah. I want to know your enemy. Who's your enemy?
There is there is a I'm sorry, Jason. There's
Why?
because there this actually you let Anna let me know if this runs into your veil, because the enemy I want is a rival podcaster who is a fundamental Christian.
Do we have to on screen go to his church service?
No.
Then I don't care.
Okay. All right. So
Who-
so
who
what
is-
so basically, I get to be. I have to produce for you. Um,
That's
Alex
amazing.
Jones, Father Coughlin.
Oh my God.
I gotcha. Okay. Can do.
Yep. All right. I am I am the
The Vitae makes the frogs gay.
I'm sorry, wait, what makes the frogs gay?
the Vitae. It's
Oh my god. I have the song in my
No.
head now.
Oh God.
No.
I don't want
Okay.
to.
Some other time I'll share it in chat. As a side note on Rainbow Connection, Envis actually means rainbow.
Oh.
Yeah. It's cute.
They will find it.
The Rainbow
The
Connection.
dictionary to look up your
Hunters,
name.
the
That's what we'll
vampires,
find it.
and
Yeah.
you.
Yep. So there we go.
There
we go.
Right. Okay. All right. So Anna, we've gone through the rest of the group. What are you thinking?
So I am looking at either bagger, consensualist, or farmer
Yep.
for all
Those
kinds
are
of obvious reasons, and I don't
Yep.
know which one I want because they're all pretty cool and they all kind of suck.
fair. Okay.
And I don't super know how to really pick.
I guess that's reasonable. Each of those will get you. I believe that two of those get you an extra dot of humanity, which is something that you wanted, right? So
Yes.
so farmer and consensualist both will get you to humanity 8, which is a thing that you wanted.
Right. Consensualist will get me another dot of either auspice or fortitude, which is also
It will.
good.
Yep.
And either another specialty in medicine or a specialty in persuasion.
Yep.
And a dark secret, which is
Yep.
terrible.
Well, is it terrible? Is it really?
Well, I don't know, because you know what? I don't actually know what a dark secret does usefully, mechanically,
Sure.
in
So
this game.
basically, it is a thing that if people find out about it, one, you will take a social reputation hit from people who don't know that you're doing that, and people might be able to blackmail you with it.
Does non-Camarilla care about reputation and status and all
Well,
that
here's the
nonsense?
thing. As it says, does non-Camarilla care about that? Only if Camarilla chooses to make an issue of it. The Camarilla believes the traditions apply to everybody, and that's the thing that I'm going to emphasize here. They're a big believer in there's none of this it's okay to kill non-Camarilla vampires unsanctioned. No, thou shalt not. The right of destruction is reserved for the prince and those who she gives it to. So if they find out that you are serially breaking the masquerade, they may have something to say about it, but they have to find out, and that's not automatic, right? So
Right.
a 1 dot dark secret, and I'm gonna see what we've got there.
And then, is the implication here that if you are a consensualist, you are 100% breaking the masquerade every time whoever is consenting knows you're a vampire?
Well, no, that's unless you have a regular lie that you set up. right?
Hmm.
You are basically how it's the you are feeding from people with their consent. If you're not telling them you're a vampire, how are you getting that consent? What is it they think they're doing?
I mean, there are people who are like, I am totes a vampire. I want to drink your blood. Mwahaha. I wear velvet and we dance in a club. Right? Like,
Sounds like a
people
great time.
legit do that nonsense.
They
Right.
do.
Right? You don't have to be like, I am actually an undead creature of the night. Let me show you my cool powers. Now, can I have your blood? So, um, there's also plenty of lying, like, please donate here.
Yep, absolutely a possibility.
But
It's one of those,
hence why
it's
phlebotomy is actually I guess, a skill you add. But, so that's an option. And then farmer. Farmer is the
farmers you feed on
animals.
animals, which is, it means you have, you have access to ready blood, but we have to basically sort of figure out how we do that in a way that does not like
Well, and
dance
also it's
on,
hard because it's not as, like,
fulfilling. Yeah.
useful a blood. I don't know what the feeding flaw farmer like really means, other than now everybody knows that's what you do and they think you're kind of icky.
No, no, no. The feeding fluff farmer means that I want to make sure I've got it right because I don't want to say things that aren't true. But yes, that means that you basically you feed only on animal blood. You must spend 2 points of willpower to drink
Okay.
human. That means that
Okay.
like it's not just that like it's not just like people think you're kind of a hayseed.
Okay.
It's that
Okay.
human blood is unpalatable to you.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think both the, like, all the gains other than humanity and the flaw just sort of are in terms of fitting with the character.
True.
So, as much as like conceptually I like it, all the mechanics don't work as well.
Hmm.
So I think it needs to be the other two. And then if I go bagger, right? I get obfuscate because I don't get blood sorcery. Um, there's a feeding merit and an enemy flaw. Uh, and a larceny or streetwise. Now, are the blood bank is the blood bank blood have the same problem as the animal blood in terms of fulfillment?
It doesn't. I don't think. As long as because you're gonna have the iron gullet merit, which means that you can get nutrition from cold blood.
Right. Uh, and I think it has no resonance.
Correct. So, for those, I don't know if you bother. I don't know if the resonance mechanics are kind of weird and complicated. But basically, certain blood can give you bonuses on discipline rolls. Certain blood can have occasional amelioratory effects. It's a thing they invented for the MMO that they've carried over into the tabletop
Well,
game.
but also you need to drink blood of the appropriate resonance to learn another dot of discipline, which
It's
makes
true.
bagger weird for that.
It does, but you can also drink it. You can also drink it from a vampire, which is,
That's true. I can.
yep.
Does bagged blood have resonance at all?
No,
It does
that's
not.
the point.
Okay.
It is beige.
It is beige.
Puce, please.
Ugh.
Sad beige blood for your sad beige vampire sins.
I mean,
Oh no.
so yeah, so like this is kind of why I'm undecided, but I don't know. If anybody has an opinion, I would like to please entertain.
So I'm going to
people's
ask you a question. Um, had you considered Sandman?
Oh wait, hang on, Jason. You're talking and I cannot hear you because my headphones have done a thing again. One moment. Okay, try again.
Sure. Had you considered Sandman?
I hadn't.
Sandman is you feed on sleeping people. Could be homeless people, could be people who are, breaking into houses. The thing about Sandman is that it has no disadvantages. It is a specialty, a dot of auspex, which is something you want, and a dot of resources. It is, it is an anodyne way of doing it if you don't want to have the complications that come with the other stuff.
Hmm. So basically, the thought here is like you break into somebody's house who's asleep and you feed off of them. They don't know it happened because you don't have the it's painful flaw. The wound
right?
closes up
Yeah.
and they're
Or
just
like if
extra
you're already,
tired.
yeah, or like you break it, like the options they have there are either stealth or medicine. I mean, if you're already going into hospitals to get blood from blood banks, you may as well like just feed on people who are asleep. I
Hmm,
mean, it is not it is I mean, it may not be the kind of thing you thought about, but like it's an easy answer if you don't want to think about it too hard.
that's true. Hmm.
But a thing is because I mean, yeah, bagger is for is takeout meals, which is consensualist has a lot of interesting story potential, and honestly, you could. I mean, it's the tension of I am a masquerade breacher, which kind of dovetails into the salubrious constantly or not well not constantly
I
on the
have
like
a
the reference
third
on.
eyeball that weeps blood periodically. Like, I am probably always in danger of breaching the masquerade.
It's true. So you that is a thing you might like, and that gets you that extra dot of humanity. So yeah,
Yeah, I do like the extra dot of humanity. I
I
should.
would say that consensualist or Sandman sound like good options with Bagger as a third choice.
Hmm, I think consensualist probably is what I should go with then.
Cool. In that case, I mean, we figure you go with persuasion vessels, you take that dot of auspex, which can give you that extra dot, that dot of obea that you wanted.
Yes. Okay, so let's see. And yeah, I should take persuasion. So I right now have persuasion at 2. This means I get another dot of persuasion in a specialty or
No,
just the
no, you don't
specialty?
get an extra dot of persuasion, you just get the extra specialty.
Okay.
Yeah. Add
Persuasion.
the special, you get whatever, if you can have more than one specialty in the thing. And what you've got there is the specialty vessels in addition to whatever else you had.
Victims? Yeah, okay. Basically convincing people to consent.
Yeah.
And then 1 dot of auspex. Okay, so and then I record that by putting in a second dot into my auspex and picking um yeah, and
Obey.
picking Obea. Okay,
Yep.
cool.
And so you've got masquerade breacher and prey exclusion non-consenting, which means basically you don't feed from people who don't consent to be fed on. At least at least you choose not to.
Right. I'm just looking for where I write these things down. Let's see. Merits and flaws.
Mhm.
Okay. That's a 1 dot flaw, masquerade breacher, and then what was the other thing? And also
Prey exclusion.
feeding flaw, prey exclusion, right? And that is also 1 dot. Oh yeah, and I should tick you off the humanity. 4,
Yeah, take up.
5, 6, 7.
Well, we've kept the ratio good. We have down one and up one.
Yep. Should I be making these boxes completely black? Like, I don't know how this recording of humanity works.
Um, I believe you want to. Let's see here.
Because they have 1 click slash, 2 clicks completely black, 3 clicks
Uh,
back to completely white.
right. What you want to do there is you want to have the ones that you, um, yeah, fill in the 8 you've got as completely black because you'll be ticking off the slash for when you get stains.
Okay. Got it.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Cool.
I might need a new sheet because mine doesn't do that. Excuse me, goodness.
Not everybody needs to, just as long as you like can record what your humanity is.
Thank you. Okay. Where were we?
Okay, and we're back. Let's take a break from some dot filling. I want to ask some questions now that we have an idea about like what we're playing. I'm gonna ask some relationship map type questions.
Ooh.
Mm.
So, I'm gonna ask. I'm gonna start this way. Semi, what does Enfys think of Kathy?
From what I understand of Kathy, uh, she, presume she pronoun for Kathy. Um, she is steadfast. Isn't really quite the word I'm looking for, but like there's something sort of solid, stabilizing in some ways about her. Um, she is like saying the golden retriever of the coterie is not really right because that's a little bright and shiny for like a Hekata, but like it's got that vibe of like they're solid. They seem to be, with us regardless of, anybody's little blips and blops there from being vampires. They do different things, and everybody kind of has their spot in the big tapestry of stuff, and ours are not in the same place, but that's a nice complimentary thing to have. And yeah, she's fine, just different.
Okay.
Fascinating in their differences, I'll say.
Kathy, rather, Renee, what does Kathy think of Natalie?
If I hear about her sniffing around the family crypt one more goddamn time, I am going to yeet her over the mausoleum.
Didn't know it was yours. I'm sorry. Next time, put a big sign on it.
Her.
Bigger sign. Next time, bigger sign on it. I'll sniff around another family crypt. There are lots of them, except I mean yours does tend to have the most things in it.
Uh-huh. Look, no touchy means no touchy.
Sorry.
That said, all your other shit's fantastic. I'm a fan. Just fuck off with the ghosts, all right? Just for your own safety.
Jillian, what does Natalie think of Anna's character, who is not out of a name yet?
I think she's gonna be Alexis, but we'll
Alexis?
find out
Okay.
later.
Nice name. It's really a shame what happened to her people. I wasn't there, so sorry about that. Were you close? Never mind. I wonder if this is what vampires are supposed to be and I'm doing it wrong. They say that there are no wrong answers, especially now that every vampire has a part to play in whatever great thing they're doing now. But I mean, they're serious and take things with some gravity, and I just kind of wonder if maybe I should be a little more like that. Does that happen when you get older?
And Anna, what does Alexis think of Enfys?
A little interesting, a little helpful, a little needs help. A little mysterious, a little bit enigma, a little bit not. Jury, a little bit still out.
A little bit of a lot of things. I dig it. Okay, that's kind of neat. We'll pick up another go round after we've done some merits and such. Cool. So merits and flaws. Ever since they started combining merits, flaws, and backgrounds, it's always been kind of a table fest. But people have, we look this up, 7 points of advantages to spend, and you need 2 more points of flaws other than the ones that your predator type gives you.
So I have
Um,
advantages, backgrounds, and then a separate merits and flaws section, or is that separate merits and flaws section specifically for Haven on this
uh,
sheet? Like, I'm so confused.
Let me take a look at that, and I'll be answer your question. But do
Because, like, do I just put them under advantages and they're bad advantages, but they're all still advantages?
let's see here. Yeah, I think that advantages and backgrounds are the ones on the lower left, and then the merits and flaws are your Haven merits and flaws.
Okay, so they're just advantages that are inherently bad.
Some of them, I mean,
Like, there's no
yes.
way to differentiate between a merit and a flaw under advantages
Mm,
in the sheet, right?
interesting. Okay. Possibly.
Like, I don't see.
Does I mean do the negative ones show up there?
Uh, I typed them in. Are they supposed to like come up in a list somewhere?
No, I guess. I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, the other ones did. You said.
Yeah, but
All
these
right.
don't.
Yeah. In that case, what I would do is probably just put the um
Put like flaw next to it.
yeah, or just put it at the bottom of the list as opposed to the top.
Okay.
Yeah, but the merits and flaws section on the right is for your Haven stuff.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. Okay. Do people have some picked out already?
Yes, I am taking on Bondable.
Cool. That's a 5 point merit,
Yes, it is.
and I'm gonna ask you why. What is it about being unbondable that really works for you?
Because I do not want to play out at all the other way. I don't care if other people do, but I don't, and like at all, and I am willing to put 5 dots into that being never the case.
Okay.
You don't want to play the witch? I'm sorry, that was my fault that I didn't hear that.
I don't want to play being blood bonded to somebody.
Sure. I would just make sure it was between one or two other things.
Cool.
Cool.
That makes sense.
Sorry.
Cool. All right. And you're going for, and you said, what was the other thing you took?
So I think I was thinking of taking resources too,
Mhm.
and then ending up with another merit, which is, or rather another background, which is mask with XP.
Mhm.
But
Cool. So
not
you
my
so you have
second one.
a current driver's license. And which flaws did you pick?
So I am thinking of taking an adversary,
Okay.
and I was thinking of taking like a folkloric block.
Okay. What kind of folkloric block do you have in mind?
That's why I was asking about the, like, you know what? I don't know. I was asking about holy symbols, but I don't know because like I need to look at the list that they
Well,
provide.
it basically it is. If you're taking a folkloric block, it means that you're basically tapping into like myths about vampires that actually work on you, like can't cross running water, or a line of rose petals, or can't enter a place without being invited. Like these are traditional mythic things that actually work on you.
Right.
Have to count rice grains.
Yeah, and again, I'm not sure. Can you come back
Okay.
to me after you talk to
Sure.
everybody else about theirs?
Absolutely can. Absolutely can. Anybody else have their loadout ready to talk about? Sammy, go ahead.
You are muted.
I am muted. Hooray. My sheet breaks it down into merits, backgrounds, and flaws.
Mhm.
And that's the way I have it listed.
Cool.
For merits, I have the beautiful looks, which comes from Siren.
True, but that, you have to pay for
I'm
that.
just, I'm sort of just going through the list.
Yeah.
I also picked up Bloodhound in case you decide to play with that, because I thought that was really cool. And I like the whole everybody has an essence and there's something that you can pick up about people through that essence. I thought that was also especially interesting for Siren.
Yep.
For backgrounds, I believe, I'm trying to remember which one. I think Contacts is something I think I also get through Siren, but we can get into that later. I have the Base Haven at 1. So I have a place that I stay that's relatively stable.
Yep.
I have Mask 1. I have Maula 2. to reflect the fact that Xavier and Envis are relatively close. In fact, Envis uses the surname that Xavier does, even with them being in different sects. So technically, Envis goes by Envis Bloom. So I reflected a little of that. Power level and closeness. Resources too, also, because that's useful. And I decided to go with the Malkavian lore sheet cobwebbed one.
Cool.
For flaws, I have the enemy, which we've talked about before. I have prey exclusion, which I'm working on. What I'm currently thinking about is actually elderly mortals instead. With the thought of everybody has strings, everybody has connections. It's which makes it so interesting in interacting with the other people and their stuff. Theirs are drawn really taut. They are near the end of things, and that's beautiful and that's interesting in its own right. But drawing on that myself might bring me more close to the feeling of a mortal death than I'm really thrilled about. And it's also just kind of mean to them. I guess unless they really asked for it, then I'd be very torn, because that would be my character.
No, that makes sense. Okay, cool.
And my second flaw point, which I don't just get magically through things, I didn't know people were gonna be playing when I picked the Haunted Haven flaw, but I did.
Oh, God.
And
Oh, God.
and it's 1 point. It's just the one. I mean, obviously, I think flaws. I don't know if they go to 1 to
Ghosts
5. But
in my haven? It's more likely than you think.
more like they do think. And the way that, because of the disciplines that I have, the abilities that I have, and this, my character kind of treats the haunting of their haven like, at one, it's mostly a nuisance and a problem and possibly an intrusion. It's not like terrible bad. So I'm just thinking of it as like, I have something akin to a housemate. Sometimes they throw shit around and that's rude. Like, don't break my things. If you're gonna throw this, throw the cheap stuff. That's not. Don't get us kicked out. Why are you want me to change the Netflix channel? Are you sure? Like, I may even be wrong. Like, I may not even be correct about what I am assuming my ghost roommate has. And I'm not even saying it's that twee, but it's like got that vibe to it.
Gotcha. No, I'm getting it. What I might say is that it may not be I mean, it may be a ghost, but it may be a thing that is not the thing that it may not be a by the book ghost, which means it can't be like walloped with oblivion necessarily. It may be a thing that has to be solved a different way.
It may be a spirit and not a ghost.
Yes.
And that's fair.
Sure. Haunted haven.
Like, yeah, they're a bit of a pain in the butt, but at least Envis tries to treat them as like, you seem to be ascension something, and I would like you to not be an asshole. So let's figure out how to make that happen. And those are, I believe, it. Yes.
Cool. Renee, are you good to go?
So I figured out what merits I want. I'm still kind of working some things out as far as my flaws.
Okay, cool.
So for the merits, I went ahead and took resources 2, Haven 1, just to have a crash pad somewhere. I took, and I actually leaned heavily into some of the lore sheets, like more so than I usually do. I took the first dot from the circulatory system lore sheet, which basically gets me access to specific blood for certain abilities once per story. And then I looked at the Grudge Master's lore sheet from Children of the Blood, which is specifically dealing with the Milliners. So I took You Know Who I Am, which is the 1 dot, which is adding dice to social pools when invoking that family legacy. It is literally the Karen merit. Do you know who I am? It makes sense. And then I also took Family Bank, which once per story I can get access to that resources 5 from an SPC, but I have to do them a favor. And yes, I want to make sure that that is something that comes up in play.
Cool. I'm happy to do it. Like there will be social plot and consequences for drawing on the Milliner fortune.
Yeah. Now, as far as flaws, one I did pick is actually Long Bond, so feel free to play with that, especially in conjunction with that Family Bank. And I'm still trying to figure out what I want to spend that other one on, because I wish there were more flaws. Some of them are just kind of weird.
It's true. I mean, and there will certainly be more flaws in the player's guide when it comes out. But I'm going to say we'll build with what we have now, and then during the break, if we want to like swap things out for the player's guide stuff, we can do that.
Yeah. So like I might end up doing. I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to do with that additional dot, but I'll figure something out.
Yeah, I mean, stalkers never hurts. suspect, maybe. Who knows?
Actually, stalkers would be kind of appropriate considering how Kathy feeds, which has kind of come out through some of the dots, which is basically her contact is an organized crime enforcer who basically says, hey, we need this person out of the way, can you go take care of it? And so nom nom nom.
Mm-hmm.
uh, One of the other things I actually thought about was prey exclusion women,
Mm-hmm.
but I felt like that might be a little, for some reason it felt like a little much.
Um, it's one of those questions of like if we're it's one of those things we'd have to like figure out how to address that in a way that's like I guess I ask you, why doesn't Kathy feed on women? What is
Mhm.
what is it that makes that
Right.
unpalatable to her? And like asking what that question is, and like other than that, it seems like it's certainly it's a valid choice. It's like um
I may actually go with enemy instead because that seems
yeah,
to make a little bit more sense given that feeding style, the
sure,
feeding style, and some of the other stuff in there.
no worries. I'll give you a second to think about who your enemy might be.
I mean, that's honestly an easy one. It could easily be, so an associate of somebody that she killed,
Yep.
thanks to that feeding, who's just like won't let up. I don't have a specific name, but we can come
No,
up with one
don't
later
need a
on.
name right now. Just the general kind of thing. All right, Jillian, how are you set?
Yeah, I think I'm okay.
Okay.
Along with the dot of fame and the 2 dots of herd you get for being an Osiren,
Mm-hmm.
I have allies to the Seekers of Connection,
Mm-hmm.
or the String Theory. I have contacts to, who is a local influencer who totally reps my pod. Um, and resources to, and a 1 dot haven, so I have some sort of closet where I can sleep.
All right.
Um, and then I have the 2 dot enemy, which is the Christian podcaster. And then I have a 2 dot stalker.
Okay.
He's or they I don't know, surprise me, but I think they were kicked out of the connectors for being too weird.
When the conspiracy theorists think you're too weird, that's
Yeah.
special.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Like, just like they're like, okay, dude, maybe don't show up to the meetings anymore, okay? Still love you, fam. You can still hang out on the Discord, but
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Dig it.
It's a way to get maybe a little World of Darkness into the world. Maybe let's get a little World of Darkness in here. Let's bring it on in. All
Okay.
right.
Okay.
Hot.
Cool. All right. We have developed some. I'm enjoying what we've come up with here. This is really fun.
How do the
Um.
lore sheets work? Like, can I just take a dot of one that isn't clan specific, or are
Yeah.
they?
Yes.
You can
You
take
can. You
you can
can
take them
take.
out of order too.
Yeah.
Oh,
Um. Yeah.
okay.
Yes, but you only get one, with the exception of there's some that are bloodline specific for particular clans, and you can take one from that too. But you only get one lore sheet, and it's basically a way of bringing in like the vast amounts of lore that the World of Darkness has, but like in manageable chunks.
Mm,
Okay. I took a whole bunch of stuff in lore sheets. I took 3. I took
No, no,
one
no.
from circulatory.
My
Oh,
my apologies. You get one lore sheet and one bloodline lore sheet. You took 2 dots from
ah,
yes.
okay.
Yes,
so
you could
if
not
I
take a third lore sheet, is what I'm saying. Like you could
Oh,
not.
gotcha.
Yeah, yeah.
so if I'm like, this Golconda one looks right up my alley,
Yep.
I can take all 5 of them if I at some point have spare dots or something.
Sure can.
Okay.
But that basically means that you're exploring the Golconda plot line, which is cool. Basically, it's basically an access pass to this plot line.
Okay. I'm just sort of thinking because, like, I took 2 dots of resources, but no dots in Haven. But it seems like everybody else is taking some haven, and maybe I
And
don't necessarily
it is-
need
yeah.
those dots in research. Like this is why I'm sort of like, I don't know.
Nope,
Also,
makes sense.
how many XPs are lore sheet points?
I'm gonna look at that. What's on page 137.
Yeah, you treat them like their merits.
So
You treat
3
each
per
individual
dot?
one like their merits. Yeah.
Okay. Do any of them have flaws?
No.
Ah, I still need.
Yeah, it's an advantage, so it's 3 per dot. So.
Okay. I need another flaw, and I'm not good at that. Does anybody have a good flaw that might be useful to have for Alexis?
Well,
What's
Some of
your
the
predator
minor-
type again?
consensualist.
Okay. Not that one.
Yeah.
Some of the minor social flaws in interacting with vampires might make some sense due to your bloodline, or to your clan. Bloodline.
Where? What page are flaws on again?
There's like disliked. Well, that's more
They
broad-based.
tend to be mixed in with their like associated advantages.
Which I kind of hate, but
Yeah.
Yes. Well.
I have it in here somewhere. Okay. It starts off in the one that I have, and it's mixed within the respective advantages, but it starts off
Like roughly
on
what
page 179,
179. Okay.
and the ones I was thinking of are in here somewhere.
I don't want to be ugly. I already have a
Yeah, I'm
third
looking for the
eye.
negative, like not like
Yeah.
people think you're sus, maybe.
Right. Like I'm not
yeah,
living
the
in
disliked
past.
flaw is on page 187.
Yeah, that was one of the ones I mentioned. There's also a slightly different one, which is like a particular sect or group.
That's suspect and shunned.
Yeah.
I wouldn't take anything at 2 dots, but like it's the like the Camarilla doesn't like you, the Anarchs don't like you. As the answer is like it's like negative status among them.
Where is that?
194.
Okay. Because like the
Yeah.
Camarilla doesn't like me is a statement of true facts. I think.
It is true, but you don't have to like actually emphasize it unless you want to. If you want the Camarilla to be like actively on your case, then yeah, take the flaw.
I mean, I obviously don't, but it might be fun.
It's true. It might be fun.
There's also infamy, like at a very
infamy.
low
They've
level.
all got an infamy.
Well, yeah, no, because Infamy 1 has this sort of vibe of like, you are the thing and it will come up.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a different kind of like, it's not specifically here are the down rolls to the sect. It's more
Where is
reaction tests. Reaction tests increase by the amount of the flaw, and so that would probably be like, I don't know,
Well,
people who have any idea.
Alexis already has Dark Secret as part
Okay.
of their their thing. So like upgrading to Infamy would be like
Is that an upgrade? I thought it was separate.
Yeah, Infamy.
Oh, I
Dark
see.
Secret is a milder version of Infamy. So
Never mind.
Is Infamy?
It's under Fame, right?
Here?
Infamy is on 187.
187.
It's below Fame.
Yeah, I hadn't noticed it's part of
yes.
Fame because the book is organized weirdly.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I mean, the book
It's
is
fine.
organized? Question mark. I
It's
guess
fine.
it technically is.
It has an index.
It does. It's not very. Well, I mean, okay, it's okay.
And then disliked is negative influence. Basically, it means that like when it comes to working with people in the city, like generally, like it's the you have a hard time getting stuff done when it comes to like making like you are not a mover and a shaker. You are yeah.
Which one would you suggest, Jason, would be most useful for like be good for story as opposed to be annoying for story?
Sure. Give me a minute and I will answer that question.
Sort of between infamy and disliked, I guess.
Of the two, I would actually, I mean, if you do not want to go with suspect, then I would go with disliked.
Okay, and is that the one where I need to pick the group that dislikes me, or no?
No, that one is that's despised. That would be the 2 point version.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Subtract
it's
one
the
from
disliked is
one.
just everybody who's not part of your contacts and allies or people who you actually know. They're at it's basically there is a -1 social penalty on that. Something about there is a thing that you're just like something about you that puts people off, which is possible.
Yeah, my socials are already kind of meh, but that's fine. All right, so flaw disliked.
Yep.
Also 1 dot. Okay. Are backgrounds also 3 points per dot?
Yep.
Okay. Um, was resources a background or merit?
It was.
Oh, okay, but it doesn't matter. It's the same 7
Right.
points, right?
It is. Yeah.
Okay. So I should probably put it into backgrounds now.
Okay. I have the next thing I think we want to do is touchstones and convictions.
Are we
Um,
able to spend XP for if we're in this like section, or is that going to be later?
we'll get to XP. We'll be spending XP near the end.
Okay.
Because I want to talk a bit about coterie type because I think I have an idea that might work for you guys if you don't have an idea of your own.
I don't know enough to have an idea, so you know where I am.
Okay, cool. So, but let's talk about touchstones. Convictions and touchstones. These are character beliefs you have that protect your humanity or protect you from degeneration as you engage in things happening during the course of the campaign. Actually, let's take a step. But before we talk about this, we should probably talk about the chronicle tenets, and that is important to do. Chronicle tenets. In a game of Vampire, instead of having, in addition to, rather than the paths and the roads they had in previous editions, you've got the Chronicle tenets, which are basically a couple of definitive statements about what things will cause you to test your humanity as you go through it. And then in reflection of that, you've also got the convictions that help you reinforce if you case you want to do the things that would otherwise break the Chronicle tenets. I am happy to go with the humanist Chronicle tenets unless people have a good reason not to. And I'm going to go to that. It's on page 172.
I was just gonna ask.
And
Also,
yep.
where is this written? Oh, here it is. I found the section where it gets written down.
Yep.
172. Okay.
So the standard, I mean, it's pretty standard at this point. The standard humanity tenets, sorry, me, getting late. The humanist tenets are, thou shalt not kill save in self-defense, thou shalt not enslave or torture, and thou shalt not harm the innocent. It's written that way because, yeah, those are the things. Those are the things that like cause you to test against your humanity. Doing those things feeds the beast. Are we good with those, or do we want to try something else?
I'm looking at the rest shown in here.
The one below it, of course, is also good for Anarch Chronicles. The never kill the innocent, be your own, never submit, and without a cause you are nothing, which is a very Anarch focused game as opposed to a humanity focused game.
I feel like I should be starting the proletariat revolution when I hear that.
Mm-hmm.
Not that anything wrong with
I will tell you right now, if we go the humanist route, Kathy will absolutely crash and burn. I am okay with that as a story, but I'm just putting that out there now.
Well, I guess I'm going to ask you, like, I imagine that you might have convictions that allow you to protect yourself against that.
That's fair.
I mean that is kind of the cycle for people like the Sombra and the Hakato. It's the you have it's the when you do things that might otherwise cause you to lose humanity, you have a code that keeps you from falling to the beast.
Right.
But also, it's an 8-session game. It might be that you that the road down is fast.
Is that because you think Kathy just will like kill a bunch, or harms the innocent a bunch, or tortures things? Like,
It really depends on some of the things that we come across in the course of the chronicle. Considering I say this with all the love in the world, most of these other characters are kind of cinnamon rolls.
oh yeah.
Kathy may end up
Sorry.
there's nothing to apologize there for. It's absolutely nothing to apologize for. But Kathy may find herself in the position where she has to do the things that the rest of the coterie won't.
I will
That
say
is
that
true.
Envis may ride that border actually between those two things, or that's the
That's
intent for
fair.
play.
It is
That's
true.
fair.
Yeah, but the thing is, I think the humanist actually is a little bit more. I mean, I think the answer is I think that we can question like whether or not like kill like okay, that's not kill, save in self-defense is possibly something that can be ameliorated with a conviction like the family is paramount or something like that if you're doing it for like doing it like on jobs or whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing that like I think that those are tenets that I think that would be interesting to play with and then use convictions to try and sort of bolster against the fault of the beast.
Also, when we say "Thou shalt not kill," save in self-defense, do we mean kill or murder?
I think the answer there is, I mean, um,
Can one be
I
a soldier in a war with this tenet,
um,
but not,
be- okay.
a robber in the alleyway, or can one be neither?
So here's the thing. These things really only matter to vampires because humans don't have a beast. Humans don't degenerate the same way.
Right.
If you are a vampire soldier, yeah, killing a lot would probably like make you fall to your beast. But like vampire soldiers are in a different situation than human soldiers.
Right.
These are things that vampires test themselves against. It is not a thing of like, well, if humans did it, humans are not playing on this battlefield.
Okay.
For what it's worth, I am cool with either of the humanist or the creed of justice.
I am entertained by I'm also entertained by the other two options that are presented, which is the gothic romantic and street code.
Those are entertaining, but they're not. They are definitely a specific kind of chronicle. Like if I was doing The Wire, Street Code makes perfect sense. But like this is a chronicle tenet on a personal one. So like like what I mean is like it is possible that like Kathy is like, oh yeah, those make perfect sense as moral codes, but that's not the arena in which
Right. Yeah. Like I said, I am entertained, and also I want to make sure that it's something that works with the rest of it. I mean, that said, I'm fairly certain gothic romantic would also work for everybody at the table too. Never deny true love.
But can we look at the fifth? Can we look at the fifth code in the example?
Pardon me?
There is a fifth code in the example. Kareem and friends are setting up a chronicle, and they've agreed to aim for what they call Nordic Gothic. Very true to life and placing degeneration and morality in focus. They've agreed on do no harm, act like a person, not a beast, and never gaze into the abyss.
I'm going to say that if you do that, then Envis is probably going to be in trouble.
I was going to say, that last one is going to be a problem.
Livian!
Yeah. We can pick and choose, right? Like
that's fair.
That's fair.
I'm looking to like.
If we were looking for a degeneration campaign, this is a really good one.
Absolutely, yeah.
But like, I like the first two.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Fine.
Like,
yeah, that's harder with a salubri though. Like that's sort of the other thing I'm thinking about is that then they get to be the person keeping things on the linchpin point. I need a better term for that. Then cornerstone position. There we go. That's better.
Thou shalt not kill those who don't deserve it.
What does that mean? I actually think that
I think that's the motto of the Banu Hakim.
Creed of Justice isn't far from that, and we could make variations on Creed of Justice if we don't love it.
I was gonna say we can make up our own, right? Like if we quibble with wording.
Yeah.
Like
I also feel like mine will cover
kill
me.
The innocent, save in self-defense, right? Like
no.
I mean that works.
No.
But then again, if you're killing an innocent in self-defense, they're not really innocent, no, are
Yeah,
they?
Yeah.
That is
Correct.
Self-defense isn't that they tripped you. It's probably not that anybody's
So
saying that,
maybe
but like
we
it's part
take
of
the
it.
humanist,
Did a
but
murder.
we replace the first one with the first one from the Creed of Justice. It's
do
not.
no.
It's not.
Never
Don't kill the innocent rather than don't kill unless in
Yeah,
self-defense.
it's just never kill the innocent, rather
Okay.
than don't kill except in self-defense.
I mean,
right?
I also like be your own, never submit. I love that. That's
I mean,
I might as well not have convictions then. Like, no, which is fine.
Right.
Which is fine. Like, no, that makes it easier for me. But my own touchstones and convictions are very,
I
so
think
far as
that
I have
just
them, are very close.
necessitates more or less being independent and anarch, which doesn't really shouldn't be a problem for anybody, right? Because I think we don't.
I was
actually
about
have
to say,
anybody in
I'm
the
People
fairly
could want us
certain
to
that's
change
kind of-
plans. Like, that's what I've
Yeah.
seen in New York by Night and stuff like that, where they've done that. Well, but I don't know if that's their actual chronicle tenets. Excuse me.
Wait. What
Sorry.
did you see in New York by Night?
It can be extended pretty far. What be your own, never submit is. It can mean if unless you're positively disposed somebody and it's what you were gonna already do. If somebody if somebody tries to impose upon you a thing that you want to do, you can sometimes then have trouble doing it. Because technically you're submitting to somebody else.
I feel like that's
Nobody
petty
keeps saying
nonsense.
that.
God damn it, Jason Carl. Jason
I do-
Carl,
I-
I love you to death. We've been friends forever, but god damn it, Jason.
I do
Jason.
I do not always agree with Jason's decisions as a storyteller.
I
It's-
don't understand how hard this is supposed to be necessarily. Like the ones I gave myself are almost a mix of those two, but in a different way. So I'm perfectly fine having ones that are like interleaved in a way that works well.
Yeah.
Would it be useful to go over if we have any personal ones to see what does or doesn't fit? Like, is that?
I think it is better to set the tenets and then have people do their touchstones. At least we can figure out how they sort of fit there. So what I'm hearing is, go with. I've heard at least I've heard one voice say go with humanist, except swap out never kill the innocent for thou shalt not kill save in self-defense. I've heard go with Creed of Justice, at least with the exception of like without a cause you are nothing, because that's people felt that was a little weird. I'm not feeling Nordic Gothic. I'm sorry, guys. It's not one that I'm into. I think it's a little too mundane for the game I have in mind. But can we try humanist, but with never kill the innocent swapped in?
Works for me.
Sure.
Works for me.
I can absolutely work with that.
Anna?
I think I said it. So
okay, cool. Okay, awesome. So write those chronicle tenets down in the place where you have them. So never kill the innocent. Thou shalt not enslave or torture, or like don't enslave or torture if you don't like the biblical writing. I don't know why they've chosen that. I mean, I know why they've chosen it. They chose it because they were trying to pay homage to the old humanity path. And well, wait a minute. The problem is that now we've got two things that say that never kill the innocent, should not harm the innocent. That doesn't really work.
I did not even notice that.
Yep.
Do we want to replace that last one with be your own, never submit?
That would be kind of cool. Like I'm down for that. It's gonna overlap
Jason,
a lot.
You're not gonna do the thing where we have to be, that teenager who's like, well, now that you said I should wear that, I don't wanna. Right?
No.
Like,
Buddy.
So here is my feeling about that tenet. The way I'm going to interpret that is that that you are vampires and you are people. You have the ability to make your own choices. When things happen that, when you succumb to greater structures, when you succumb to other people imposing their will on you, then you have to test against that because your beast takes advantage of those moments. And Anna, considering that you took Unbondable, I think that's a story that you're interested in telling.
Yeah,
okay, so let's do it this way.
Dumb question.
Yep.
I hate to quibble here, but on the do not enslave or torture, do corpses count?
I will say I will say no on that. I think the answer is that you cannot a corpse is, I mean, for one thing, you're going to be testing for oblivion anyway. Yeah. And number two, a corpse is not a person, and an enslaved person. yeah, it's the. I think the answer is no.
Okay.
Reanimating corpses is its own measure of messed up, but it does not test against the chronicle
So
tenet of
that
unless it's the actually let me clarify the kind of the thing that the kiss of last life, the thing that you make where you're basically animating a corpse, that is
Yeah.
absolutely like that is mechanics. That is I will say that doing that does not break that tenet.
I'm
Okay.
assuming
Not
thou shalt not enslave also does not imply to like don't have dairy cattle.
Or
Um,
don't have ghouls.
don't have bees,
Yeah.
don't have ghouls, right? Does it apply to don't have ghouls?
I think it's a matter of um I think that's a question. I think that is a it's the I mean clearly the Camarilla has ghouls. The question is, have you enslaved them? Have you fully bonded them? Have you suborned their will?
Did they knowingly consent?
Maybe.
Also,
Yeah.
do you pay them?
Well, and to be clear,
That's a
making
retainer.
making a ghoul is an act of that tests humanity because it's a thing that vampires do, and the beast feeds on it.
Yeah, my sense was that V5 was very much stronger on that, especially given
Yep.
the whole like hunger die and stuff
Yep,
like that.
it's true.
Yep.
So so let's see if we can summarize this. We've got thou shalt not kill, and we've got thou shalt not harm the innocent. Thou shalt not enslave or torture, and be your own, never submit. Are those the three we want?
I may
Okay.
have to ask you a follow-up question on a personal one, but I think they're different. I think they're
Okay.
different.
So, now that we've set what the chronicle says, let's see what you individually say. Sammy, it looks like you've got
And
some
it's never
touch.
harm the innocent, not never kill the innocent.
Which do we prefer? Never kill or never harm?
I think we were taking creative justice because harm kill is easier to avoid than harm,
Yeah.
I mean, harm means probably,
except for one reverse
but like
situation.
harm means don't feed on them at all.
Right, that's why I'm
potentially.
saying we took kill. Which,
Yeah.
if you don't want to harm, that's a thing you
Right.
could take as personal conviction.
Okay,
Well,
sure.
that's why I was like,
Okay.
So is it kill or harm?
Jason
I think it's
had
kill.
said harm, and that's why I was
Okay, let's
asking
do kill.
because
Let's do
the
kill.
things
Okay.
kill.
So, the ones I have ideas for the touchstones for 2 out of the 3. And yes, I have 3, and that's ridiculous, but that's fine. One, I guess it's good that we chose this. Killing is fine in self-defense. So if it comes up that there's
Yes.
an innocent
So-
that's actually putting my life at risk.
So the answer is killing is fine in self-defense. Okay.
Yes, and I'm thinking about exactly who that is. I have a rough idea, but I'm going to flesh that out later, and I know we don't have too much
Yep.
time. 2, all is fair in the search for knowledge, which I am going to be shocked if Natalie doesn't have, and that's fine. That's great. The touchstone for that is my editor. And I should note my editor doesn't necessarily know I'm a vampire. And also, I don't necessarily... The editor has the rough idea that I'm doing this now for fun / as a side gig. There's not like a huge pressure to produce all the time.
Mhm.
So they probably know this, but I've kept them on from when I used to work. No, I have not done that because they have not known me that long. That would be a problem. But you get the idea. They get the sense that this is not my only paid gig.
Gotcha. Now, what was your touchstone for the first one?
I
The
don't
killing is
know.
fine?
That's what I'm
Oh,
still working on.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
And 3, I think it's similar, but I have a different take on this, which is no one may control me. Which to me is different than be your own, never submit.
Yep. No, I can see those being different.
And that I do have a touchstone for.
Mhm.
The one I have is a woman by the name of Devin, who is the widow of a dude named Chase, a terrible man that I killed fairly early on. Probably out of accounting, but before leaving for the Anarchs, maybe, I don't know.
Okay.
It's essentially she was in a relationship with him that was deeply controlling. If I knew her well enough, I probably tried to talk her out of some of that. That didn't end up working out. And so when Chase started hitting on my character, I was like, really? Really, you say? Interesting. And it probably didn't come out. I'm assuming I got the logistics resolved that was how that ended, but that's probably the one time I drank somebody dry.
That is intense. That is really cool.
Because he deserved it. And now I'm like, I'm not letting that happen to myself, basically.
All right. Um, Jillian, do you have your convictions and touchstones?
Yeah, I think I do.
Okay.
Not so much touchstones, but the convictions I have.
Okay. What do you got?
The first one is always aid in the search for the connection,
Okay.
which is a lot like Sammy's search for knowledge at all costs.
Mhm.
Um, the second one is you will meet the same people on the way up as you will on the way down.
Ooh,
Ooh.
I like
And
that.
what does that mean to you?
For at least for Natalie, it's when the eventual fall comes, because there will be one. You will meet the same people as you met when you were trying to rise. So you should probably treat everyone. Oh, hold on. my poor dog. She is pupset. Um, you should probably be nice to those people you meet on the way up because on the way down, if you're a dick to them, they'll kick you down even farther.
Okay.
It's
It's the
I can
life is
see
a
you.
long place conviction.
yeah. Um, Also, it's more of a karma's a bitch kind of thing. And then it is telling how you treat those in service.
Okay. I can see that. All right. When you have it, we will work on like the who the people are in your life that those represent, and I'll want
Yeah,
to have them
I,
further.
I'm I'm thinking about I'm coalescing
Yep.
at least. Can it be? I'm thinking at least for one of them, at least aid in the search for the connection. Could it be the stalker?
Sure.
Okay.
But it's one of those things of like they are both an enemy. They are.
Yeah,
Yep, I got it.
I
Yep.
want that like that dichotomy. It's like no, like he really got it, you guys, or they really got it. Surprise me,
Mhm.
I don't like they really got it, and you kicked them out, but now they're stalking me. Yes, that's sort of I want to fight against that. Like I think convictions are there to be tested, right? So let's test it.
Cool. All right. Sounds good. Renee, do you have touchstones and convictions?
I do.
Okay, let's hear it.
So first conviction: don't turn your back on family. The touchstone for that is Kathy's brother Isaac,
Okay. Tell me a little
older
bit about
brother.
Isaac. Just a little
Uh,
bit in the sense of like now your touchstone has to be immortal. So what's his
yeah,
connection to the family?
he is mortal. Not every millionaire gets
Yeah,
embraced.
truth.
Um, so he's Kathy's older brother, not
Mhm.
older by a whole lot. Um, I have determined that Kathy is the middle child out of three. Um, and so when Kathy was embraced, he was one of the very first people to, show up for her and, basically be there for her while she was dealing with all the nasty stuff that happens post embrace with your body and the physiological changes. Um, and uh, while he's busy doing his own things, like if she needs something, like he's somebody that she can turn to, at least for emotional support.
Mhm.
The second one is you scratch my back, and I'll scratch yours. The touchstone for that is Veronica, who is a bartender at a high scale nightclub that Kathy frequents, usually when taking various jobs that result in her getting a meal. Um, and she tips very well. And Veronica, makes sure that when somebody orders an angel shot, that Kathy knows it.
Hey!
For those of you who are
Nice.
not familiar, an angel shot is when somebody comes up to the bar and says that they don't feel comfortable with the companion that they're with. The third,
Ah.
revenge is a dish best served cold. The touchstone for that is Patricia Milliner Rhodes, who is Kathy's little sister. The Rhodes family, in this particular case, probably not quite as high standing, but there's definitely some rivalry and some high society and potentially some political areas. And it was Patricia's idea specifically to arrange, to get in good with the Rhodes kids. She courted Martin Rhodes, and they got married. And 3 months later, he was found poisoned. Patricia got everything, and the Rhodes family kind of crumbled. Patricia gave zero fucks, and Kathy was just like, it was an evening wedding. Kathy was the maid of honor, and may have helped get rid of the body.
Maybe. All right. Anna, ready to go?
That's it, out of me.
Is it me now?
It is.
Okay. I don't know what I'm doing. I
Okay.
feel like I'm saying the same thing over and over again.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you feel like that, then just pick one of them, and that's.
No, I mean, I feel like I'm saying I don't know what I'm doing over and over again.
Oh.
Because I
It,
am.
it is all good. Basically, yep.
So I think I definitely want to take never act against another salubri.
Okay, that works.
I have absolutely no idea what I could use as a touchstone for that. And then
Okay.
originally I was thinking that like never kill except in self-defense is like a good personal conviction, but I don't know if I can still take it or if it's too close to the chronicle tenet.
No, I never. I mean, I mean, that is actually since it's more strict than the Chronicle tenet, then you can absolutely take it.
Okay. For that one, I was thinking a touchstone could be a nurse at the local hospital
Mhm.
who like was there as a nurse when Alexis was in that hospital with whatever still yet to be determined terrible thing she was going to be dying of real soon now.
Mhm.
And has continued to be there and is just like one of those nurses that actually still cares, continuously cares, is really good at her job, and is like the epitome of compassion and goodness in the world. Um, but I have no idea what to use as a touchstone for never act against another salubri, and I don't know if I need a third one or something.
You don't. You can have anywhere between 1 and 3.
Okay.
And since you're playing a very high humanity character, you may not need them as much. A touchstone for never kill another salubri might well be. Well, a touchstone can be somebody who both embodies a conviction or embodies its opposite. Maybe there's someone who is cruel, hurts people, somebody who reminds you that not hurting people who do good work is important, or maybe it's somebody who is estranged from their family.
What
Um,
is what is the mechanical interaction one has with one's touchstones? Are they like people you think of to give you strength on your conviction, or are they somebody
Not just
you
think
go and
of, you actually have to
with?
interact with these people, generally speaking.
Right.
You go and it's the
So like it can't be the adversary who's like killed my sire, for example.
I mean, it could be.
Yeah, but
I mean, it's one of those things of you've got to like. I mean, that would make it. It would be an interesting touchstone, but eventually, it's the they
yeah,
are. The thing is, they're like if that's the case, they'd be like your nemesis. If something happened to your
yeah,
touchstone, you would be harmed by it.
right. So that's not very good then. Mm,
Yeah.
I don't know. Ugh. I'll think about it. Trying to figure it out.
Okay, that's fine. I
I
mean,
don't want
we'll
to
we'll,
make
we'll
anybody
get
else
there.
wait.
No problem. I mean, I understand what you're about, and we can worry about those details later. And when we
Yeah.
put them on we'll eventually put them on the relationship map, and we'll bring them
Right.
into things. But we'll take some time for it. So there's
I
two things that
gotcha.
what's that?
I came up with them.
Oh, what's that?
So the former connector who got a little too close
Mhm.
actually got a little too close to the mystery of vampirism.
Mm.
To protect the masquerade, he had to get burned. Like, yeah, like she got like the burn notice, like burn
Yep.
notice burn, like, oh no, this is, oh, what a crazy asshole. Kicked him out of the club.
Mhm.
Do you
Um,
want to hide a body?
um, the the um the touchstone for its telling how you treat those in service is her sire's current assistant, who replaced Natalie after she was golden embraced. She's not gold yet. He's still in the vetting process. She's kept in line with um, Dominate mostly, and Natalie's struggling with that.
Mm.
That's the two storylets I just came up with. So
Cool. I like it. Okay, that works. So there are three more things that we should do. The first is spend XP. The second is decide coterie stuff, and the third is set ambition and desire.
It is
That third one,
10:30, by the way.
yes, it is. We started we did not start precisely at 6:30
Yes.
either.
Sorry.
So nope, it's okay. We will try and go, and we took some breaks. It is we're still making good time, but we have some other stuff to do.
Okay.
Are
Just-
people good to stick around for
Yeah,
a
I was
little
gonna say I just want to be cognizant of people being awake and stuff.
Yeah, cool.
bit? I'm okay.
I am 3 hours behind y'all, so
I
I'm
was
good.
gonna say I also don't know
Oh.
what time zone people are in. You're
Yeah.
in Pacific. Okay.
Cool.
Nice.
Okay.
Lucky.
So let's do. I'm gonna say. Um. Let's do the coterie stuff real quick. And I misspoke before. It's not 8 dots that we need a smaller group. It's 4 dots that you guys have to collaborate on your starting coterie thing. Coterie themes give a starting point for premises of play, things you might like to do. And the two that came to mind, having looked at them, were the Kerberos coterie and the Plumer coterie. The Kerberos coterie is there to defend or protect a particular important place or
What
thing.
page are you on, by the way? Sorry,
I can get to that.
I want to follow.
I too am looking.
Sure.
Because I remember it's here somewhere.
Oh, coterie creation. It's
Yep,
probably
197.
190.
Thank you.
Sure. Yes, yep.
Okay.
So, like you're saying, yeah. So one possibility is the Kerberos coterie type, which is basically, you guys are assembled to guard or protect a particularly interesting or important place. And considering you guys all have interests in research, the occult, and weird stuff,
It's the Milner crypt.
it would probably not be the Milner crypt because that's going to be in Milner territory, whereas this is going to be somewhere in the
Absolutely
Boston
fucking
Somerville
not.
area. Yeah. The other thought there was the Plumer coterie, which is basically you guys have a common interest and therefore you manage to find each other and basically doing the things you guys like to do and basically sort of work in the weird subculture area, which is on 199.
I think I like that one. I mean, I'm just glancing at it now, but it makes some sense. It would be a little broader, obviously, because
these words mean. Like, what is a chassis and lean?
All right, so that that is the White Wolf tendency to like use fancy language for stuff.
Right.
Shas is basically like how Shas is basically the physical resources of your domain. The idea of like how much space it has, how much what's in it, basically how much quantity it has. And Leon is basically the quality of it, the ability for you guys to reach out to the people in your domain area and uh, interact with them, use them as resources, contact them, that kind of thing. It's basically the sort of the structure of how the place you hold is maintained.
Of those two, probably Plumer is more of interest to me than Cerberus.
Questari is nice too.
It is. I could do Questari. That is basically you guys have been assembled to do a thing. You're a Fellowship of the Ring kind of place. The idea is that somebody has put you guys together to do a thing. I just don't know what that thing is yet, but I'll let you. But I will. But if you guys pick Questari, I will give you a thing.
Find an
I was about to
ancient
say
tome
that-
full of research and treasure.
I think actually Questari does make kind of sense, especially given the time frame and the contained nature of what you want to run.
Okay, could do. In that case, we can set up we can talk about that more like offline. But knowing that it's a Questari chronicle, I mean I can assemble, I can give you guys the thing you want to do, or at least you've been asked to do.
Said
But
possible extras, Haven with library, and you know that I had to look at that one, right?
yeah, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And I would, well, we can figure this out later, but I'd be curious at some later time to talk about what happens if we have individual important backgrounds, merits, or flaws that overlap with the coterie ones, and whether they're different or the same, and how that has
Generally speaking, when you got the backgrounds that you have on your character sheet under your own stuff, that is yours. Like,
Sure.
if the domain Haven falls, you've still got your own place as backup. If the domain resources collapse, you've still got your own money.
If we end up having a Mala that's telling us about this particular job, we can still ask my particular Mala for expertise in something else.
Absolutely.
Okay.
But you can also take your XP, and you're going to get 4 to start with, and pouring it into this sort of shared background thing that you've got. And you can always like dump extra XP into it if you wish to. So yeah, I can work with Questari. I'll just need a little time to think about it, but I've got time to work on it. The next thing is ambitions and desires. This is your starting sort of short-term and long-term goal.
Where do we write down the coterie type? Do you know? Is it like
I don't even see it on my sheet.
I'm gonna look for it.
Yeah, mine has ambition but not desire as a spot, and also no place to write down coterie. I could write it under the tenets if I wanted to.
As long as you write it down somewhere.
Yeah, it has to go in a place.
So yes, I guess the desire is basically the thing that you want to do. It's a short-term achievable goal that kind of interests and excites your character in a kind of general way, and then ambition is a long-term kind of like what my like a longer-term plan goal. And this may be actually something we can save for like once you guys have been playing a little bit longer. We gotta hold that for a thing, unless you guys have an idea about like what your character is interested in at game start.
The one thing that I found to be particularly true of desire and ambition is they were like, make sure it is something very concrete, and that was the trouble that I had. Like when I looked at touchstones and convictions, I in fact ended up relying on the ones in the book rather than creating my own, though I was very tempted to do what Jilly did, and because I like those, but also those should not be my convictions. They're not exactly the same. But yeah, like because it felt more nebulous. A lot of what my character's doing is esoterica is very commonly made non-concrete.
Like, it's true, but I mean, like I'm thinking like for something like for as you've described it, it might be yeah, I mean, this is really this may be a kind of thing where it's so personal that it may be the kind of thing you may want to take a minute or two to like take like some time before our next session and just come up with where we want to start. Maybe we can work it out together.
But you do not necessarily want to desire as concrete as learn this discipline dot.
No, actually, actually that is perfectly fine. Okay. It's just a matter of like it is something that is, it's the kind of thing that really yeah, learn the system is just fine as a short-term goal.
Okay. And I can always think on it later. I don't want to take too
Yeah,
much time if this is something we're doing offline.
yeah. Actually, we
I'm
should
more curious about our ties than I
yeah,
than I am about
yeah,
that
yeah.
mechanical bit.
And I'm happy to make sure that happens online. So I'm starting to just I need to like push through to the end of this. And so I think I'm gonna table desire and ambition for later on. Now that I think about it, it's probably just the easiest way to handle it. We can talk about once we've got the concordance and we've got like all the
Mm-hmm.
people on the board, and you can say, all right, I want to get this from this person, or I want to accomplish this longer term thing. In that case, XP 15.
Yep. I'm probably gonna go ahead and buy Sense the Unseen, yeah, Sense the Unseen, just to have it. So,
We'll
so
all
people
make the roll.
actually,
One of us will get it right. It'll be great.
well, I should probably actually be able to see some of the
No,
fucking
no, no.
ghosts I need
It
to deal
isn't.
with.
We are a very like overlapping circles in a cool Venn diagram group, and I love that. That's
Yeah.
great.
Well, it actually, well, like I said, it actually makes sense for Kathy because it's like,
Yeah.
okay, I can deal with corpses, but I actually should probably be able to see ghosts. Fuck.
That's probably true.
It's true. I mean, I mean, to be fair, you have, the fourth, millimeter split of money, which is
Uh-huh.
where you've spent your time on,
This is true.
and seeing ghosts it's a more niche activity. Not as many like people in your family don't care about that as much, but Auspex is always good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right.
I know my
How?
place.
All right.
And actually, in Children of the Blood, they have an alternate discipline spread for the Milliners, which is Dominate, Fortitude, Oblivion. But I'm not terribly interested in that.
Yeah, I think that doing that I think I saw those rules. I do not wish to use them. So
That's fair.
yep. Right. So
So that's 5. So I have 10 left, which is really hard to spend with these freaking.
Would you like to hear mine since it's out of the way?
sure.
And it can be out of the way.
Yep.
So I did note one of these accidentally in my list. The cobweb lore sheet I actually bought with XP. I didn't
Okay.
have quite as many points, but that's fine. I bought 1 dot of discipline, which
Yeah.
is a cloak of shadows.
Okay.
So I have 5 dots of disciplines and not amazing stats to do them with, but it'll be fine. I have some stats, and that's the important part. I also spent 6 XP on 2 separate 1 dot skills.
Okay. What'd you get?
So, firearms 1 and animal can 1.
Okay.
The former because I should probably be able to do anything like that maybe, and the latter because if I am doing the siren style and I'm doing it in a non-trivial way, it might be helpful if some of the people I feed on and cats just have their pets avoid me and not go, what in the hell are you? Like, that seems bad. So awkward. Awkward. I don't want to be using cloud memory all the time. You didn't see your cat run out of the room. Like, that's too much. Put some back.
After just running on his wheel.
Oh
Anna,
no.
How do you wish to spend your XP?
Me?
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to spend 3 on getting Mask 1.
Okay.
I'm going to spend 3 more on getting Haven 1.
Okay.
So because I have resources too, I have like a suburbia middle class house, whatever.
Yeah.
And I figure Haven 1 makes sure that at least a part of the basement is usable.
Yep. Haven 1 means that that part of your house is suitable for vampire living.
Yep. And then I would like to get Seeds of Golconda, which is
Okay.
the 1 dot from that lore sheet's page 389.
Thank you. I'm just going to look at
It
that.
basically is a shaka shaka shaka. The ST8 ball. Will doing this harm my chance?
No, I mean, like, to be fair, what you've got there is you are in the Golconda plot line, and
Yep.
yep, and it's it is a once per story thing. So I'm gonna say that I'm gonna say that for the purposes of this chronicle, once per story is twice during this game, once
Okay.
before the break and once after the break.
Okay.
That is, I'm gonna call those the 2 stories that we're doing.
Once in the spring and once in the late spring summer.
Yep.
Okay, got it. And then I have, I think, 6 more XP that I need to figure out where I want to shove them. And I
Okay.
don't know where yet. Because
All
I'm
right.
not sure what costs 6 XP. I think it was, page 135 that I need to go?
137 is what things cost.
Ah,
So,
yes, that's the one.
let's see here. 6 XP you could get.
Well, I can get a clan discipline. I can get 1 dot of dominate, which is my other in clan that
Yeah, you could. You could get
don't
that.
have any of right now. I
It's
can't
true.
do anything with my existing disciplines because that's 1,000,000,000 points.
I mean,
I can get 2 advantages.
you
Oh,
are
wait.
you are. Yeah.
So okay, so here's a question.
Ask it.
So I have Fortitude 2 and Auspex 2.
Yep.
Obviously, it would cost me like 15 to get either of those to 3.
Correct.
But if I want like the second 1 dot Auspex power, what does that cost?
That's gonna take up your 3rd slot. It would cost you 15.
Okay.
Mhm.
Because that's my 3rd dot of Auspex, even though my Auspex is still only at 2.
Correct.
Oh, it's by level. It's not. Oh, I don't think I knew
Yes.
that.
That's horribly expensive. Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's you should probably get your it's the goal is to make sure that not everybody has the same stuff.
Yep.
See what worked. But like
I mean,
what they need is more good low level powers, which is they're working on it, I guess.
I
But
am
yeah.
right that only that ob 1 is still just 5, right?
If your first dot in obfuscate is just 5.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
as long as
Your
it's
first
in clan.
obfuscate power is 5. Yeah.
Yes.
That's
Um,
what I thought.
Jason,
Because it's all the yes.
on
Yes, now I get it.
Monday, the new book is coming out.
Yes.
What's
The-
your
the
opinion
PDF is
on,
dropping.
and now I really need to move my things around because a new book came out.
My opinion on that is we're gonna do that in the break. Like
Yeah.
while you're not while you're away and not running, we're gonna look at the book and see if there's things we want to move around. After like the first 3 sessions, we'll do it as we've got it here,
Okay.
and then we'll swap it out for the last half of the game.
Okay,
Okay.
that makes sense.
Yep.
I have figured out what I'm going to spend mine on, but I still have 1 left over. But there's really nothing I can do with that because this is wonky.
You can keep it. Like it's like
Yeah.
you could buy the ceramic dog. It's fine.
Yeah. So I got Auspex 1. I'm raising my athletics from 1 to 2, and then I'm taking the threat specialty to intimidation.
Ooh, nice.
I kind of love that my desire is to learn heightened senses because we all have but many of us have Auspex, and none of us
I
have
have
that.
heightened senses.
Oh, well, that's
I
good and
absolutely
maybe
have
awkward.
heightened senses.
Mhm.
Hey, Jillian, what you got?
legit.
I'm spending 9 on a lore sheet. And
Which
the
one do you want?
specific lore sheet is Ambrys Meropis.
Ooh.
Page
Where do you find that?
402. Page
What's that?
402.
It's
Main book.
Main book.
Main book, page 402. He is a to trendsetter, masquerade protector, and he is on the cutting edge of technology and culture.
You know, I don't think I've seen this guy. I mean, I've got the. Oh, okay.
This guy is awesome,
Yeah.
and I like it. And this, I kind of want to do this, like this.
All right.
Yeah.
So which merit do you take? Which background do you take?
Taught by the best. As one of Amber's disciples, you are provided with a ready supply of intel on topics from Sequin Inquisition operations to the fashion and Harajuku tomorrow night. Amber's can also time lock information on the dark web or set you up with your own Ukrainian hacker at friend prices.
Not
Consider
these days.
Amber's Consider Amber's a 3-dot Mala.
Okay, that works. Okay, that's kind of cool. I'll have to do more research on this guy, but absolutely.
I was going through and reading this, and I'm like, this guy. I'm a podcaster. He does anime gaming and online role playing. yes. I am his friend. I want to be a friend of his.
Rock on.
Also-
I dig this. Okay.
I
now
am personally
nine.
writing down a whole list of threats that Kathy's going to do later.
So is 2 dot off a lore sheet whether is also 6, right?
Yes.
But it has to be off the Sable lore sheet?
You have to be off of your lore sheet. Yes. Once you pick a lore sheet, that's the one you're using.
Okay, and we only get kind of the one. Okay. Because I don't think I have a bloodline, right? There's no...
No,
No other potions.
you do not. So you had, what did you take? You took
I
dot one in Seeds of Golconda, yeah?
yeah,
So what's the 2.1 in that?
terrible.
Oh, okay. Well, possible. I mean,
uh,
you don't need.
the 2.1 is actually it's all about being an alpha predator and not at all about being an apex predator and not at all a spiritual redemption of a monster like one true way
Yeah,
of
yeah, yeah.
that. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
it's the what you have is a piece of we have it as a book.
yeah.
And it says it gives you 3 dice and 80 souls. That's probably in the nature of Golconda, but like, eh,
Yeah, like I would if I was buying stuff off this sheet, I would skip that one.
yeah,
Like the third one's nice, but you know, the
yeah,
fourth one is really nice. The fifth
yeah.
one's real nice, but the second one is sort of like, eh.
Well,
It's okay.
you can skip over that one. You don't have
It's
to buy
true.
it.
Yeah.
This is in part why I was asking about when the new book comes out because I expect it to have more on the clans that are in the auxiliary book.
Yes, it
Yeah.
absolutely will.
So that's why I was like, but I
Yeah.
want these things.
Yep.
Okay.
So like one day more, but
Yeah.
yes. Okay,
I also put a second dot into larceny.
cool.
There you go. There's my 15.
All right, cool. Is there anything else that people think we need to do tonight? Because I think we've hit everything.
Okay, so our health is automatically figured out, our willpower is automatically figured out, our humanity
And we're gonna do
is
like relationship map and
humanity.
connection stuff
Oh, yeah,
offline.
That's
Yeah, yeah. I think we can do that like offline because that's now once we take this recording and like glean it for all the people, places, and things, I can start working on the concordance. Then we can like draw lines between people.
Yeah, and I'll check in with you about the explanation. I might be able to be there early, but I don't know if I could be there for more than an hour for session 2. I'm not going anywhere. I just have a commitment here in another space.
No problem.
But we could consider that. We'll talk about that, I guess, in the next week or so.
Yeah.
If you
Perhaps.
show up, we can find a reason for you to scoot.
Yep.
Yeah. I'll think on that, and I'll find out when I need to be free for the other thing. May I leave you with a fun question for you?
Please.
So our characters are both anarchs with highly overlapping interests, and low composure. Why are we not dating?
I can't think of a good reason.
So, like, I'm not saying that should for sure happen. I'm just putting that out there in the universe as, like, I can't promise that might not be special in some particularly interesting way. And I leave you with the thinking on that.
I will percolate this in my brain meats.
I was about to say, if somebody wants their chin lifted with a sword at some point during the game, you come find me.
I mean, I will promise you, and if anyone ever gets to see this and sees it's me, no one will be surprised if my character is non-monogamous. Like, just, that's
shocked,
just a thing.
Shocked
about
you non-monogamy in this establishment.
I mean, we saw how that mage game went, so...
You're 5 partners, ma'am.
Yes! Oh my gosh. My frickin' Kiasid. Okay, that's fine. That shouldn't have happened, but that is what it is.
I am coming up with the most creative threats I can right now. I'm not going to share them because we're still recording, but they are... They are special, and I'm trying to make them creative and fun.
I gave away what I say when I'm taking forgetful mind, like using forgetful mind on people, but that won't be things that audience sees probably before they see that. So it's fine. They would see it too.
Jason, I did end up picking up that extra, the dominate, so I am now out of XP.
Cool. Did you take cloud memory or compel?
What do you think?
I don't know.
I assume cloud memory because you're playing a Salubri, but I don't know.
Good assumption, yes. I'm like, Jason,
I have to ask. It's important.
I know. Okay. I'm gonna send you this sheet that I've mostly been filling out, hopefully correctly.
Everybody should send me their sheets when they have the chance to do it.
Will do.
Cool. Goodness, it is nearly 11 o'clock here on the eastern coast, and we have made a coterie. It's gonna
Huzzah!
be
God
fun,
help
guys.
us all. I am the scariest golden retriever there is.
You're good. It's gonna be fine. You are the Cerberus, which is good. Oh dear.
It's
Yep.
very much Yandere vibes. I'm here for it.
Yes.
I'll take it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take it.